What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 3SD Chapter 41 Establish Your Authority. It was Edward Nugate. Although Nugate does not want to have anything to do with Barkin in this life. After all, I was indeed not a qualified father and husband in my previous life. I'm really sorry for Ba Jin. But, after seeing that John actually wanted to take action against Barkin, Nugate couldn't help but take action against John. Ba Jin, on the other hand, stared blankly at the figure in front of him. His eyes also lit up with an inexplicable light. Although the hero saves the beauty is a very old-fashioned routine. But, which woman can resist such a routine? Edward Nugate. After the smoke and dust dissipated, John got up from the ground in a somewhat embarrassed manner, looking at Nugate hatefully. Death Canyon snatched my treasure, and now you are embarrassing me in front of so many people. Do you really think I am made of mud? Oh. There's something good to watch. When Shiki saw Nugate and John actually fighting over a woman, Shiki suddenly looked like he was just watching the fun and not taking it too seriously. They are really two guys with no structure, it's just a woman. Ochaku, on the other hand, stroked his long beard and said with disdain. Although the other pirates didn't say anything, none of them stopped them. Instead, they all looked at Nugate and John with interest. Goo la la la. I just don't like you. What kind of pirate is bullying a woman? Nugate immediately laughed and said after hearing this. John was so angry when he heard this, but after a while, John didn't say anything more, but returned to his seat and did it. He just kept his eyes fixed on Nugate. See this. Nugate also shrugged, not even paying attention to Bajan, and turned back to Tsunade and the others. Oh, wait for me. Seeing that Nugate ignored her, Barkin was not discouraged. She immediately ran towards Nugate and stood next to him. Seeing Ba Jin coming with him, Nugate also had a headache. Nugate believed that he was not a good man, so he did not want to have anything to do with Barkin at all. But Ba Jin couldn't help it and stuck to it himself. You are so boring, but I still want to thank you for saving me. Barkin said happily next to Nugate. My name is Barkinjum. What's your name, Stussy? Ba Jin flashed his big Kazilon eyes and asked curiously. Edward Nugate. Nugate didn't want to pay attention to Barkin at all, but somehow he still said his name. So you are Edward Nugate. Barkin looked at Nugate with admiration. Looking at Barkin who had been pestering him, Nugate also had a headache, and felt extremely regretful about why he had saved Barkin. And just when Ba Jin still wanted to continue talking. Advertisement sudden. Chicken ha ha ha. Hearing his voice before seeing him, Rock's wild laughter echoed in the center of the venue. Buzz. Crackling. Boom. A terrifying conqueror's hockey suddenly enveloped the entire Beehive Island. Suddenly, the situation on Beehive Island changed, and the originally cloudless and clear skies suddenly became covered with dark clouds. Countless lightning bolts shuttled through the clouds like spiritual snakes. Everyone present is a world-famous pirate in the sea. Each one is extremely powerful. But, under this terrifying conqueror's hockey, it is like a small boat floating on the sea, as if it will be swallowed at any time. Then a tall figure also appeared on the high platform. Welcome to Beehive Island. Rox opened his hands and said arrogantly. You guys, what are you going to sea for? If I say that you can get everything you want by following me, do you believe it? Everything we want? Uh-huh. Interesting. What if what I want is your head, Rox? As long as I can capture your head, Lousy's reputation will surely resound throughout the sky. A pirate's eyes flashed with madness, and he said without fear of death. Uh-huh. After hearing such words, Rock's face also showed a change of expression. He immediately stretched out his right hand, and then the arrogant pirate flew directly towards Rox uncontrollably. What happened? The pirate felt the power in his body and immediately struggled to get away, but he couldn't. Rox reached out and strangled the man's neck. Boom. The high platform built of stone was instantly blasted into a large crater. The pirate was smashed directly into the pit by Rox, and instantly lost his life. Zombie. Who allowed you to speak? Pooh. It was so terrifying that an admiral-level pirate looked like a little chicken in front of Rox and was killed by Rox casually. Seeing this scene, the pirates around who were still ready to make a move also put away their innermost thoughts. Don't dare to think nonsense. After all, the corpse lying on the stage was the best example. No one present felt that his end would be better than his. Okay. Rox patted the non-existent dust on his hands, as if he had dealt with a fly, and said disdainfully, "Lousy doesn't like nonsense either. Today. For those who are willing to join Rox Pirate, you can get everything you want. Thing. Advertisement. Whether it's women, money, treasures, identity, status, or power." But, if anyone doesn't want to join, Rox did not continue, but glanced at the people below with sharp eyes. The air seemed to become much colder for a moment. The atmosphere also became solemn instantly. To be honest, no one here is a fool, so we all understand what Rox means. I'm afraid that if anyone dares to say the word, no, they will never get out of here alive. This is no joke. Just now, Rox just shot casually and easily killed an admiral. Although it was just a casual move, but experts will know if there is one as soon as they take action. The difference in strength between everyone and Rox is really huge. With their strength, you can't tell how strong Rox is. If they dare turn down the Rox today, the results speak for themselves. I agree, I'd like to join. Captain Rox is the strongest. I have to say that this wave of Rox power is indeed very effective. All the remaining pirates present, without exception, all joined the Rox pirate. After all, under the threat of Rox's terrifying power, the only way to go is to join the Rox pirate. But, pirates all choose to go to sea for women, money, reputation, etc. But Rox has now promised them that it can bring them all this. So for pirates, joining Rox pirate may not be a bad choice. Chicken ha 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 ha. Very good. Hearing the voice coming from below, Rox nodded with satisfaction, opened his mouth and said ferociously, "Congratulations on choosing the right path." Lousy announced, "Rox pirate is officially established." Chapter 42 Vice Captain, oh, roar. As Rox announced that the Rox pirate was officially established, the surrounding pirates responded to him with deafening roars. Rox pirate is officially established, and this newly formed pirate group has more than 100,000 members. And there are close to 20 people with admiral level or above strength. The number of people above vice admiral level reached 100. The Rox pirate instantly became one of the most terrifying forces in the world. It has even surpassed Marine's strength. If Marine really wants to take action against the Rox pirate, it will definitely need the support of the world government to have the courage to take a chance on the Rox pirate. Joke? No. This is no joke. After all, Rox has invited all the powerful pirates in this sea. And each pirate has his own pirate group. There are more than 60 people here, including Nugate, who is relatively small. And those pirate groups that have been famous for a long time range from a few thousand to nearly 10,000 people. When they get together like this, they instantly become a super pirate group. Chicken ha ha ha. Not bad momentum. Regarding the pirates' response, Rox nodded with great satisfaction, and then continued. But now that our pirate group has been established, some cadres also need to be arranged. Cadre. Cadre position at Rox pirate. The pirates below heard what Rox said, and all of them suddenly showed greedy looks. After all, I have joined the Rox pirate. If I could become a cadre, wouldn't I get more benefits? Suddenly, everyone stared at Rox like hungry wolves. Looking at the pirates below, Rox also showed a smile. I only set up 2 positions for cadres, and that is the deputy captain, and the captain. The vice captain only needs to hand over 30% of the proceeds to enjoy the profits, and he has priority when the pirate group divides the spoils. The division captains need to hand over 50% of their profits to enjoy the profits, and they have priority when the pirate group divides the spoils, but the selection order is from the deputy captain to the 1st division captain and the 2nd division captain. Everyone else's income must be handed over to the pirate group, which will then be distributed uniformly by the pirate group. Rox said with a smile, "You only need to hand over 30%. You still have priority. I must get it, the vice captain is mine." As Rox's voice fell, the surrounding pirates almost went crazy. You must know that this is a super pirate group with more than 100,000 members. Advertisement, not to mention that only 30% of the income needs to be handed over. Let's just say that when the pirate group's interests are distributed, they actually have priority. If you can choose a good devil fruit first, that's more important than anything else. But, Rox suddenly said, I suggest Nugate be the deputy captain. Nugate was also stunned when he heard this. He had originally planned to start competing for the position of vice captain. But, unexpectedly, Rox would directly give him the position of vice captain. Nugate immediately came to his senses and said excitedly, since Captain Rox trusts you, then I'd better obey him. Goo la la la. Nugate laughed wildly, fart. Edward Nugate, why do you want to be the deputy captain? At this time, a pirate captain about 50 years old jumped out and said angrily. Ingen. Nugate glanced at the other party, and the strength exuded from him was that of an admiral-level strongman. Captain, if I defeat Edward Nugate, will the position of vice captain be mine? The old pirate said. That's natural. My pirate group doesn't raise waste. Rox also watched everything that happened with great interest. However, since I know that Nugate has a trump card, I don't think that person can defeat Nugate. But, after all, Nugate is the vice captain of his own choice. If he does not show the strength he should have, it will be difficult to convince the public. Edward Nugate, I want to challenge you. The pirate pointed at Nugate and said loudly. Goo la la la. Then come on. Hearing this, Nugate also laughed and said. But, at this time, Tsunade walked up to Nugate and said, I don't need Dad to deal with you, so let me be your opponent. What, Edward Nugate, are you looking down on me? Seeing that Nugate actually asked a little girl to deal with this place, the pirate immediately roared angrily. Why am I not qualified to deal with you? Tsunade also directly released the aura in his body when he spoke. Call. Suddenly, powerful pressure came out directly from his body, as if a strong wind swept across the entire place. It's indeed admiral level. Some people who had seen Tsunade's bounty order couldn't help but nod when they felt Tsunade's momentum. Advertisement. The gaze he looked at Nugate was also a little more solemn. He also thought secretly in his heart, his daughter has admiral level strength, so what level has he reached? Seeing this, the pirate didn't say anything more, but walked straight to the center of the field. Tsunade followed immediately. Name: Edward Tsunade. Age: 19 years old. Potential: SS, Power, S plus rank. Speed: S class, Energy, S plus level, Body level, SS. Combat technique: Top Conqueror's Haki Chakra Refining Technique, Wei Li Pain Tien Jiao Healing Jutsu Chakra Scalpel 100 Healings Mark 100 Healings Mark. Ninja Art. Meiotic Regeneration, Beehive Technique. Ability: None. Evaluation: A member of the Senju clan whose bloodline has not yet awakened, has good potential, but her life is very unfortunate. Close double angle bracket. After the new year, Tsunade was already 19 years old. Although on the way to Beehive Island, Tsunade's strength did not improve much. But, Conqueror's Haki has finally reached the top level. Tsunade's Haki level finally caught up with his strength. Although the speed is a bit worse, but both strength and energy are at the peak level of Admiral. So Nugate isn't worried about Tsunade in the slightest. The battle between the two is about to break out. The old pirate man looked extremely thin at first. But, when fighting, he transformed into a giant silverback chimpanzee. The muscles on his body were taut, as if they were about to burst out of his body. Surprisingly, he is also a physical expert, and he is also a physical expert who ate the zone fruit. And judging from his appearance, it is obvious that he is also a powerful man. Peeved. Nugate couldn't help laughing when he saw this scene. You know Tsunade's power, it's really terrifying. Especially with the blessing of strange power, the power exerted is definitely not something that the admiral level can withstand. Both Tsunade and the chimpanzee quickly rush toward each other and the battle begins. But, just when everyone's eyes were focused on Tsunade and the chimpanzee, there was a figure hidden in the crowd, quietly approaching Nugate. Chapter 43. Nugate takes action. Weird ability. I am a zone fruit orangutan fruit silverback chimpanzee Esper. Don't blame me if you die. The chimpanzee said with a smile, then raised his fist as big as his head and smacked Tsunade quickly. Old B asterisk 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 D. Be careful if you hit me, you'll burp. Tsunade didn't show any weakness at all. He raised his fist and hit the opponent. But that's it. The two sides looked really different. One was a silverback chimpanzee that was close to 3 in size, and the other was a delicate little girl. Moreover, the fists of both sides are not at the same level at all. Tsunade looked like he could be knocked away easily. But the results were jaw-dropping. Boom! With a loud sound, Tsunade and the chimpanzee collided directly. Tsunade's seemingly extremely thin arm actually blocked the chimpanzee's fist. And not only blocked it, but also vaguely had the upper hand. What? The chimpanzee was a little unbelievable when he saw that his attack was blocked by Tsunade. Then the two people exerted force, and Tsunade took 5 steps back, while the chimpanzee actually took 10 steps back before stopping. F***ck. This little girl actually has such terrifying power. The chimpanzee seems to rely on strength to eat, but I didn't expect it to be no match for her. Yes. Fortunately I didn't offend her, otherwise she would have been bruised and bruised when she hit someone. The surrounding pirates were shocked when they saw this scene. You're not that good, old B**********************. I'm going to get serious next time. Whoosh! Tsunade said a body flicker technique and disappeared directly. What? The chimpanzee's right hand was shaking a little, although he didn't suffer much damage from the blow just now. But, in fact, he spent a lot of energy to catch Tsunade's attack. My right hand still hurts to this day. But fortunately, Tsunade's attack just now was just a normal attack, if he had used a strange power technique. At this time, chimpanzees are not just suffering from pain in their hands. Tsunade suddenly appeared behind the chimpanzee, strange power. As he spoke, he punched the chimpanzee in the head from below. The chimpanzee felt the danger signal from observation hockey, and the alarm bells suddenly sounded in his heart. Suddenly he was rolling forward like a lazy donkey. Tsunade's speed is only S after all, always at the bottom of the Admiral class. So, the chimpanzee successfully dodged Tsunade's attack. Advertisement just about to taunt. Ha ha ha, you too. Boom. Without a target, Tsunade's small fist hit the ground directly. Suddenly, the ground surged like boiling water. The entire ground was directly smashed to pieces by the terrifying power of Tsunade's fist. And not only that, the entire Beehive Island shook under this blow. Gouda. Suddenly, the surrounding sounds fell silent, so quiet that even the sound of swallowing was clearly audible. Damn it. This little girl actually has so much power? I shouldn't feel uncomfortable even if I get this punch, right? Rocks on the stage also quietly wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said secretly, "Don't run away. Punch me." Tsunade missed the blow and quickly rushed towards the chimpanzee again. Stop, no more fighting, no more fighting. Seeing Tsunade rushing towards him again, the chimpanzee suddenly felt like he was dead. You will die. You will definitely die. After all, chimpanzees are here to make money, not to die. So there was no hesitation at all and he surrendered directly. Although Tsunade didn't play very sexually, he had no choice but to give up after seeing the chimpanzee surrender. After all, we are all members of the same pirate group. You can't see it when you look up, you can't see it when you look down. When the people around saw the chimpanzees, they surrendered directly, feeling a little disappointed that there was no good show to watch. Edward Nugate. Go to hell. As long as I kill you, I will be the first officer of the Rocks pirate. Just when everyone was disappointed that there was no good show to watch, a roar suddenly sounded. It turned out to be the guy who had taken advantage of the chaos to approach Nugate. The power that burst out in an instant turned out to be an admiral. He held a short sword in his hand and quickly stabbed Nugate in the chest. TCH. Can you finally bear it? Nugate looked on indifferently and quickly rushed towards his figure. Sneak attack. With such a close distance, even Nugate can't escape, right? Well done. This sudden scene also made the people around him excited. After all, with the existence of Tsunade and the terrifying strength of Nugate, these two people, if Nugate did not die, he would not be able to take the position of vice captain. If Nugate was really killed in a sneak attack, so it's hard to say whose position the deputy captain belongs to. Seeing the short sword getting closer and closer to Nugate's body, Nugate seemed to be stunned and motionless. Advertisement. That's it. Kill him, ha ha ha. The people around him couldn't help but become more and more excited. Each and every one of them seemed to have seen themselves becoming the vice captain. Shadow strangulation. Suddenly a childish voice sounded from beside Nugate. It's Sakura who has turned dark. Sakura's voice appears. Suddenly. Puff. Puff. The shadow spikes attached to armament hockey instantly turned the assassin into a hedgehog. Because the assassin's attention was always on Nugate, it was too late by the time he sensed the danger. You can only use armament hockey to protect your vitals. After a while, Sakura dispersed the shadow spikes, revealing the assassin. At this time, his body was covered with large and small blood holes, and the bloodline beneath him had covered the entire ground. The whole person fell to his knees weakly. What? There is actually an admiral level. Edward Nugate is not simple. That little girl is actually an admiral level powerhouse. Sakura's action immediately caused an uproar. Unexpectedly, besides Tsunade, the other little girl beside Nugate turned out to be an admiral level strongman. Rubbish. Nugate glanced at the killer with disdain, and then said loudly, "If you want my position, take it openly, don't play such dirty tricks on me." Then he reached out to the assassin with one hand. Return life. As Nugate's voice fell, Shock Fruit's ability was activated. The assassin, who was still tortured by the wounds on his body, suddenly had his eyes widened and his whole body was twisting strangely. Sudden. Boom. The killer exploded into bloody foam in full view of everyone. Seeing this strange scene, everyone around them suddenly fell silent. After all, Nugate's performance is really weird, and I've never heard of Shock Fruit having such an ability. Although I shouted for life to be returned. But, isn't that Marine's move? And I have never heard of life return having such an effect. Is it another use of life return? Suddenly, the people around him had different thoughts and began to make calculations. Several figures in the darkness even informed their own power through the phone bug of this move of returning life. Chapter 44 The Battle of Nugate, Gu La La La. If no one objects, then I will take the position of deputy captain without any courtesy. Nugate saw no objection from those around him and spoke directly. Etc. Suddenly a voice came from the crowd. Nugate took a closer look and saw that it was Golden Lion Shiki. Nugate also chuckled when he saw this. This is Shiki. How could that ambitious guy obey other people's arrangements so easily? Even if that person is the strongest madman in the world, rocks. The position of deputy captain is not that easy. I will never admit it if you don't defeat me. Shiki walked out from the crowd and said arrogantly, "Gu La La La. It just so happens that I have developed a few interesting moves recently, so I'll give it a try with you." The battle between the two is about to break out. As soon as Shiki came up, he used his devil fruit ability to fly into the sky and gain air superiority. Shiki can use this trick with great success. After all, there are too few people with the ability to fly in this sea. So no matter who he faces, as long as it's a battle of the same level, Shiki, who has air superiority, has actually won half the battle. But, what he met today was Edward Nugate. Nugate was afraid that Shiki, a thief, would stop fighting him after seeing that he was a marshal. Therefore, he also controls his strength at the peak of the admiral level. After all, when he finally got the chance to beat Shiki, Nugate naturally couldn't let it go. Shiki. I don't know what's going on, but my back keeps feeling cold today. Nugate. Just be obedient and hand over the position of vice captain to me. I have the air supremacy and there is no way I will lose. Shiki floated in the sky, holding the dead wood and Sakura 10 in his hands and said proudly. Stop talking nonsense. Lousy hasn't fought for a long time, come on. Air shock. With Nugate's roar, a white sphere instantly condensed on Nugate's right hand. Then he punched the air in front of him with his right fist. Dang kang. Suddenly there was a sound like breaking glass, and cracks spread rapidly outward from Nugate's fist. At the same time, a powerful force of vibration also quickly struck in the direction of Shiki. Ha 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 ha, well done, look at my slash wave. Advertisement Shiki said in his hand. Sakura 10 quickly swung in the direction of Nugate. Suddenly, a huge golden sword energy quickly slashed towards the shaking force. Bump. Boom. The power of vibration collided with the slash wave, and then exploded and dissipated in the air. The strength of the two was evenly matched. When Shiki saw this scene, he immediately laughed happily. My guess about Nugate's strength became more accurate. In my mind, the position of Rock's Pirates vice captain felt more and more within reach. After all, he has control of the air. Come again and again. Shiki smiled arrogantly, and then Lionfruit's ability activated. Countless pieces of dirt and gravel crushed by Tsunade floated directly out of thin air. 3 huge clay lions formed in the sky. Lion Majesty Earth Coiling. As expected of Golden Lion Shiki, are you a user with Lion Fruit ability? So scary, it's hard to deal with Nugate now. Aside from rocks, the strongest person is probably Shiki. The surrounding pirates also admired Shiki after seeing his strength. Shiki is indeed not weak, after all, he and Roger will be able to start the 3 Great Pirates era in the future. Therefore, his upper limit can definitely reach the peak of martial level. But, after all, Shiki is about the same age as him now, and he is still a long way from his peak. Shiki now only has the peak strength of Admiral, Gulalala. Shiki, let you try my new move, time to stop. As Nugate gave a soft drink, Shock Fruit's power also activated. After hearing this, Shiki became alert. After all, Nugate's strength is not much different from his own, and the moves that Nugate can use deliberately are definitely not simple moves. But seeing Nugate still standing there and not moving, Shiki suddenly became confused. Just when Shiki was wondering if Nugate couldn't use his new move, Shiki just suddenly felt a trance, and then forced himself to calm down. But when Shiki came to his senses, the clay lion he had condensed with the lion fruit had turned into a pile of soil on the ground. Advertisement, what's going on? Where's my Lion Majesty Earth Coiling? Shiki looked in the direction of Nugate with some disbelief. What did you do? Why did my Lion Majesty Earth Coiling turn into a pile of dirt on the ground? Compared to Shiki's shock, the pirates watching the battle at this time were even more shocked into silence by Nugate. ... Time goes back to 1 minute ago. ... Just after Nugate called out, Shock Fruit acted directly on Shiki's body. Suddenly, as if the pause button had been pressed, Shiki floated quietly in the air, motionless and strangely so. And his Lion Majesty Earth Coiling, without Shiki's control, fell directly to the ground and turned into a pile of dirt. What happened to Shiki just now? It's like time has been suspended. I thought I heard Nugate shout stop. Is it the ability to pause time? ... Nugate is fine if he doesn't take action, but when he does, he is a blockbuster. Nugate's 2 shots today have shocked everyone beyond comprehension. Is this mud horse the ability of Shock Fruit? Suddenly everyone looked in the direction of Nugate with their mouths open. What exactly did you do? At this time Shiki also discovered something was wrong. At first, I thought that Nugate just used his unknown ability to break up his Lion Majesty Earth Coiling. But, looking at the reactions of the people around me, it was obvious that there was more to it than that. Naturally, it was impossible for Nugate to tell him, so he just looked at Shiki quietly. If you don't tell me, I'll find the answer myself. Lion Thousand Slice Valley. Shiki roared angrily, and then quickly waved the dead wooden Sakura 10 in his hands. Suddenly thousands of slash waves quickly covered the direction of Nugate. Overwhelming. This was what Nugate was thinking at this time. Shiki's Lion, Thousand Slice Valley, directly blocks all retreat roads from Nugate. Nugate is in danger. Chapter 45 Screaming Shiki. Front, back, right, left, top, bottom. No matter which direction it is filled with dense golden sword energy. And the coverage area of Thousand Slice Valley is extremely wide, and the average admiral has no time to exit its coverage area. All of this seems to have reached a dead end. The surrounding pirates were a little solemn when they saw this scene. After all, this is Golden Lion Shiki's full blow. Except for rocks, all the pirates are facing this move. You must choose hard connection. But, is it really that simple? You must know that this is the peak Admiral Shiki, even if his strength has not reached its peak. But he is not a weakling with a rudder on his head, broken legs, and no hockey ability. Even a new pirate like Luffy who just went to sea can defeat him. At this time, Shiki was in high spirits, and every sword energy in Thousand Slice Valley had the power of Slash Wave. It's just a Slash Wave, and there are many people here who can catch it. But that's thousands of Slash Waves. Just when everyone felt their scalps numb. Ah! Nugate chuckled lightly and shouted softly, "Shock Fruit." With Nugate's soft drink, the power of Shock Fruit began to act on Nugate's body under Nugate's control. Overclocking mode. Suddenly there was a roar, and Nugate's body flashed rapidly as if twitching. At this time, Nugate has entered overclocking mode. This mode can speed up Nugate's body and mind, but Nugate didn't dare to use it on himself at first. But after a long period of trial and training, Nugate was now able to use this move skillfully. When Nugate entered overclocking mode, everything around him seemed to be moving in slow motion. Thousand Slice Valley, which was originally extremely fast, was also extremely slow in Nugate's eyes. Goo la la la. This feeling is so comfortable. It feels like I am in control of everything. Nugate said to himself. Then he stepped on Moonwalk and quickly shuttled through the gaps in Thousand Slice Valley, heading towards Shiki. After arriving behind Shiki, he punched Shiki hard on the back. Shiki had no time to defend himself, he just saw a black shadow instantly appear behind him. Just as he was about to turn around, Nugate knocked him away. And in the eyes of the surrounding pirates, it was clear that when Nugate faced the Lion Thousand Slice Valley, there was no chance of evasion. Sudden, Nugate turned into a black shadow, flickering in Eucharia's sword energy blockade, then appeared behind Shiki, and knocked Shiki away with one punch. What just happened? How did Nugate appear behind Shiki? I seemed to see a black shadow flash past. The surrounding pirates were also shocked. Thousand Slice Valley, which has no target, is quickly attacking the ground of Beehive Island. Originally, Beehive Island had been severely damaged by Tsunade's attack. If Thousand Slice Valley continues to bombard Beehive Island may be sunk. Advertisement. At this time the Rocks BGBG took action. With just one punch, a terrifying fist wind directly destroyed all the sword energy. Rocks are so scary. It is worthy of being the lion that Rocks and others have to deal with. Thousand Slice Valley is like paper in front of Rocks. After solving the crisis in Gankiri Valley, everyone's attention once again focused on Shiki and Nugate. Puff. Nugate's terrifying power hit Shiki directly, causing Shiki to spit out a mouthful of blood. What kind of weird ability do you have? Does Shock Fruit have such an ability? Shiki said with a look of disbelief. Goo la la la. You guess. Nugate said with a smirk on his face. He was in a very happy mood at this time, after all, the punch just now was so good.
I didn't have time to beat Shiki properly in my last life, so I will definitely have a good time this time. No. Shiki's little head couldn't analyze Nugate's ability at all, but in order to defeat Nugate, Shiki's head started to spin. Nugate's ability is really weird. I will lose if I go down. Suddenly Shiki's eyes lit up. Nugate. If you can, neither of us should use devil fruit abilities. Don't use swordsmanship either, just use physical skills to determine the winner. Shiki looked into Nugate's eyes and said righteously. Okay, in fact, after successfully experimenting with several of Shockfruit's new skills, Nugate didn't really want to use Shockfruit's abilities. After all, Nugate just wanted to give Shiki a good beating. Now Shiki's suggestion is exactly what Nugate wants. After all, Nugate now truly has the strength to reach the martial level for the first time. And Shiki just has the strength of the Peak Admiral. Don't look at it, it's just a small level difference. But the strength of the two is completely different. In other words, Shiki didn't know that Nugate had broken through to the martial level. Otherwise, he will never make this suggestion until the day he dies. No regrets? Nugate looked at Shiki with a half smile. No regrets. Shiki was a little confused but said firmly. No surrender. Nugate continued. No surrender. Shiki was already a little worried at this time, after all, Nugate's words were too weird. But, it's too late to regret now. Goo la la la. Then come on Shiki. Ha ha ha. Nugate no longer concealed this time and directly unleashed all his strength. Suddenly, A martial level coercion suddenly penetrated the body. Nugate's body also rushed towards Shiki quickly. Martial level. Advertisement. Shiki also immediately felt the pressure coming from Nugate. Nugate wait. As soon as he felt Nugate's strength, Shiki's intestines were filled with regret. He said that Nugate was not worried at all, but seemed eager to give it a try. Turn out to be. At this point Shiki has completely figured it out. Damn it. This kid from Nugate pretends to be a pig and eats the tiger. He is very evil-hearted. Shiki. Punch me. Nugate didn't give Shiki a chance to speak at all, and punched Shiki directly in the face. The powerful force made Shiki's saliva fly away. Gula lala. It was a great fight. Shiki is not allowed to surrender and we will continue. With that said, Nugate rushed towards Shiki again. Wait. I vote for Nugate. Shiki wanted to surrender, but Nugate had quick hands and eyes. When he saw Shiki wanted to surrender, he didn't give him a chance. He immediately punched him in the face and interrupted Shiki again. Ah! The punch caused Shiki to cry out in pain. Shiki got up from the ground again, completely no longer thinking about fighting Nugate. That's like running away. The heroic feeling of the past Golden Lion is completely gone. Nugate, on the other hand, was running after Shiki with his fists raised. Shiki, don't run away. Let me punch you again. Just one punch will do the trick. Nugate said happily. You fart, damn it. You, a marshal, have the nerve to bully me. Why did you agree so readily? I believe you, I won't stop. Shiki said as he ran. Then don't blame me, Nugate said with a wicked smile. 8 inner gates formation. Third gate. The gate of life opens. As Nugate's voice fell, Nugate's skin began to turn red, and then his aura continued to rise. The speed is also much faster. Shiki suffered death. Nugate rushed towards Shiki quickly, and was behind Shiki in an instant. His fist quickly hit Shiki's back. F*K. When Shiki suddenly felt a chill on his back, and turned around to see Nugate appearing behind him without knowing when. Suddenly he jumped up in a panic. Originally, Nugate wanted to hit Shiki on the back. Result. Shiki jumped up. In this way, Nugate's fist hit Shiki's anus hard. When the surrounding pirates saw this scene, they all felt the same and covered their eyes. Ah! In an instant, a miserable and shrill scream sounded instantly. Chapter 46. The Choice of Squad Leader, Improvement of Life Level. Oh tilde tilde. When the surrounding pirates saw this scene, they all felt pain for Shiki. He looked at Shiki with a grin. Shiki was lying on the ground completely helpless at this time. 3 points of pain, 3 points of enjoyment, 3 points of humiliation, and 1 point of pleasure. Nugate looked at his fists helplessly, and then at Shiki, who was lying on the ground in humiliation. In fact, Nugate aimed at Shiki's back at first, but at the last moment, Shiki's spirit jumped up. Nugate shook his head helplessly, and then returned to Tsunade and the others. While others were still feeling pain for Shiki, Linlin, Ochaku, John, Silver Axe and others all looked at Nugate with solemn expressions. Others didn't notice it, but they completely discovered it. At the last moment of Nugate's pursuit of Shiki, Nugate's whole body turned red. The aura on his body also surged in an instant, although I don't know what point it will reach in the end. But, it was obvious that Nugate's strength had not only reached the martial level. And he has a deeper trump card, chicken ha 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 ha. There should be no objection to Nugate becoming deputy captain now, right? Seeing that the battle has come to an end, Rox also said excitedly. The stronger Nugate becomes, the happier Rox actually is. After all, it was for the crazy plan in his heart. 16. The stronger his men are, the higher the success rate of realizing that plan will be. There is no doubt about it. The pirates around him all lowered their heads when they heard this, not daring to say anything more. Not to mention Nugate's 2 daughters, they possess admiral-level strength. Secondly, Nugate himself has martial-level strength, and through his battle with Shiki, it was not difficult for them to discover that shock fruit had been developed by Nugate with moves they didn't know about. Weird and powerful. Secondly, no one knows how strong Nugate really is. Although Nugate showed strength at the martial level for the first time when he was chasing Shiki, But, at the last dignified Shiki's anus, it was obvious that Nugate burst out with stronger strength. At first, no one around him reacted. But, after calming down and thinking about it, my attitude towards Nugate became more cautious. This time no one objected. Rox also nodded happily. In this case, Nugate will be our vice-captain, and then it will be the captain's choice. Rox said while scanning the people below. Anyone with admiral-level strength can serve. Rox has also begun to arrange candidates for division captains. Advertisement, but Nugate had no intention of listening at this time. Because just now Rox announced that the vice-captain was completely owned by Nugate. Sudden. A system prompt sounded in Nugate's heart. Ding. Congratulations to host for completing the achievement, the strongest vice-captain. Do you want to receive the reward? The strongest vice-captain? Nugate looked at this achievement and nodded. Indeed, this achievement is very pertinent. Looking at the entire history of a martial-level vice-captain, even 40 years later. There is no vice-captain as strong as himself. Nugate watched Rox and the group of pirates discussing passionately, and no one paid attention to his side at all. So I secretly said in my heart, receive the achievement reward. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully receiving the achievement, the strongest vice-captain, reward. Ding. Congratulations to the host for getting a copy of the Life Spring Water. It has been placed in the system warehouse. Close double angle bracket. Fountain of Life. What does the system do? Nugate asked secretly in his heart with some doubts. However, as the name suggests, Nugate also has some vague guesses about the role of the Spring of Life. Ding. Life Spring Water can enhance the vitality of the drinker and increase the life level. Close double angle bracket. Increase life level. Nugate couldn't help but get excited after hearing this. You must know that although Nugate's strength has been improving, his life level has completely stayed at S without any further improvement. This has become Nugate's only weakness, and as Nugate's strength increases, the load on his body becomes stronger and stronger. Gradually, Nugate has begun to discover the disadvantages of his low physical level. That is, it is easy to get injured, and the recovery speed after injury is also very slow. It is a typical vitreous constitution, but now the system tells him that the rewards he has received can actually increase his life level. How could this not excite Nugate? Extract, Fountain of Life. Nugate said without hesitation. As Nugate's voice fell, a tube of transparent spring water suddenly appeared in his hand. At this time, Nugate couldn't wait anymore. At this time, everyone in the Rox Pirate was arguing over the ranking of the captain. He didn't even notice that a pipe of spring water suddenly appeared in Nugate's hand. Even Tsunade and the others who were closest didn't notice it at all. Gouda. Nugate couldn't wait to drink all the water of life. Suddenly, Nugate just felt a cool air flowing through his body. The comfortable feeling made Nugate couldn't help but scream out. The airflow gradually disappeared, but Nugate felt that his body became extremely refreshing. The feeling of being inappropriate and a little depressed before disappeared without a trace. Nugate felt as if he was several years younger. Dad, have you become different? Advertisement. Tsunade, who was relatively sensitive to vitality, felt the change in Nugate in an instant. After all, after Nugate drank the spring water of life, his vitality was replenished. The life level has also been improved a lot. So in Tsunade's eyes, Nugate used to be like a light bulb that was about to go out, but now this light bulb has suddenly changed a lot. Goo la la la. That's right, because I got some opportunities, it seems that my vitality has been improved. Nugate said half seriously. After all, there are many people here with mixed ears, so it is really not suitable for talking about those things. Tsunade nodded and didn't say anything else. Anyway, it's not a bad thing that his father's vitality has increased. The system opens my properties panel, Nugate said secretly in his heart. Name. Edward Nugate, age, 32 years old, potential, SS+. Power. SS class, speed, SS class, energy, SS level. Body level, S+. Combat skills. Super Top Conqueror's Haki Naginata Technique 8 Inner Gates Formation C Shock, Earthquake, Air Shock, Stop Shock Fruit 653 Real Overclocking Mode Life Return. Ability. Shock Fruit, Evaluation. A guy with terrifying strength, but his brain is a little abnormal. He actually likes to be a father. The physical level has been upgraded to S+. Nugate looked at his attribute panel and nodded with satisfaction. Although his physical level still hasn't kept up with his own strength. But, with an S+ level body, Nugate can gain combat effectiveness in a short period of time even if Duman is activated. It won't be half dead after just being turned on for a few seconds like before. And just after Nugate's physical level was improved. The captain of Rock's Pirate has also made a complete decision. At this point, Rock's Pirate has been completely established. Captain. Rox D. Zebek. Vice Captain. Edward Nugate. Captain Ichiban. Golden Lion Shiki. 2nd Division Captain. Ochaku. 3rd Captain. Charlotte Linlin. 4th Division Captain. John. Division 5 Captain. Silver Axe. There are 15 squad captains in total, all of whom are admiral level. Originally, Rox planned to let Tsunade and Sakura serve as captains of a division. However, Nugate refused after thinking about it. After all, he also knew what Rox wanted to do. It would still be too dangerous for their family to be separated. Chapter 47 World Government's Reaction. With the official establishment of Rock's Pirate, Rox also began to officially take action. He left Beehive Island on the Black Pearl that day. It is worth mentioning that the Black Pearl is a super battleship built in advance by Rox in order to form Rock's Pirate. The length reaches more than 220 meters, the width reaches 60 meters, and the height is 40 meters. It is such a super battleship that even the Moby D*K looks extremely petite in front of it. And this is such a super battleship that is 220 meters long, 60 meters wide, and 40 meters high. Its entire body is actually made of Atom Tree. What is this concept? You must know that a trunk of the Atom's tree that is about 20 meters long can be sold for a sky-high price of 200 million belly on the black market. You must know that an ordinary devil fruit is only 100 million baileys. And the Moby D*K, which only uses the Atom's tree as its keel, also uses 10 Atom's tree trunks. This cost Nugate 2 billion baileys. And now, the Black Pearl, which is even larger than the Moby D*K, is actually built entirely of Atom's treasure tree. Nugate has lost count of how many Atom's trees will be needed. But it is obvious that the Black Pearl cannot be successfully built without 10 billion shells. But considering that Rox is the strongest man in the world after all, Nugate was immediately relieved. At this time, under the arrangement of Rox, the Rox Pirate is divided into 17 fleets and moving towards their respective goals. As soon as Rox Pirate was established, it was ready to turn the world upside down. At the same time, Red Line, inside the Five Elders conference room. 5 old men with different expressions were looking solemnly at the current Marine Marshal Kong below. If Nugate were here, he would be surprised to find that the appearance of the 5 Elders is the same as it was 39 years ago. Time seemed to have frozen on them. Sora, the bald 5 Elders, holding Daiichi Kitetsu in their arms, looked at Sora with some scrutiny. You said Rox, the Lone Ranger, actually formed the Rox Pirate on Beehive Island? That's right. Upon hearing this, Kong immediately replied respectfully. It's just that I really don't know what that guy wants to do. That's why I reported it to you as soon as possible, Tilda. It's just a few trash pirates, there's no need to be so nervous, right? Goatee 5 Elders said disdainfully, as if he didn't take Lux seriously at all. You can't say that, after all, Rox is extremely terrifying. At least he has surpassed the martial level. Advertisement. In addition, Edward Nugate has martial level strength, and Rock's 15 division captains also have admiral level strength. In terms of high-level combat power, Marine is no longer able to compete, not to mention that Rock's Pirate has about 100,000 pirate minions. 5 Elders with horn beards said rather solemnly. Wouldn't it be nice for these damn trash to just be the dogs of the celestial dragons? Why do people always come out and jump around? 5 Elders also said angrily. Kong, who was listening to the 5 Elders' discussion below, could not help but twitch his face a few times when he heard this. But he didn't dare to say anything. Sora, is there any latest news about Rock's Pirate? The bald 5 Elders asked in a deep voice. Yes.
According to the latest news from our people, Rock's pirate is divided into 17 fleets, each moving in different directions. Because our people did not dare to get too close, the target has been lost. However, according to our analysis of their routes, the targets of their respective routes happen to be world government member countries. Kong said in a deep voice, "World government member country." Goatee 5 elders, murmuring these words, was also lost in thought. Not good. The 5 elders seemed to have thought of something, and suddenly said anxiously, "Sora, immediately arrange for a Marine Admiral to be brought to the nearest world government to join the application for support." Support? Sora was a little confused. That crazy guy from Rocks is very likely to want to take action against the world government member countries? The bald 5 elders looked a little ugly. After all, the main income of world government comes from the heavenly gold from the countries that join world government. And now that Rocks guy actually wants to take action against Tianshongjin. Wouldn't that cut off the world government's financial resources? If there is no gold in the sky, what should the celestial dragons eat? Where will the world government's military spending come from? You must know that the current world government only has more than 170 participating countries. It can contribute a large amount of heavenly gold to the world government every year. And now that Rocks guy wants to take action against the franchised countries, this is unacceptable to the 5 elders and world government. Attack against the franchised countries. Kong exclaimed in shock when he heard this. Doing that means declaring war with the world government. How dare that Rocks guy dare? Kong didn't expect that Rocks, although known as the world's strongest madman, would actually dare to make such a crazy decision to attack a country that is a member of the world government. Advertisement through serving in Marine for such a long time, Kong also understood the horror of world government. That is definitely not just the power of Marine. The trump card hidden in the dark is what scares Kong. And not to mention anything else, just the 5 men in front of Guangkong, his own strength is simply vulnerable to them. The bald 5 elders looked at him with some displeasure, and Sora was shocked. After all, as a Marine Marshal, he had no composure at all. "I'll make arrangements soon." Sora also noticed his gaffe and immediately forced himself to calm down. Seeing this scene, the bald 5 elders nodded with satisfaction. "That's right," Sora said respectfully as if he suddenly remembered something. According to the news from our Marine informant, Edward Nugate seems to have developed incredible abilities from the Concon fruit. Incredible ability? The bearded 5 elders asked with interest. That's right. Edward Nugate seems to have developed the ability to pause time and speed up his own time. And it can also make a living person explode into bloody foam for no apparent reason. Kong said solemnly. Time is suspended. Time is accelerated. It can also make people explode into blood foam? The bald 5 elders held their chin in one hand and thought. Is this really an ability that shock fruit can have? This seems to be a power that shock fruit users of all generations have never been able to display, right? Goatee 5 elders said. That's right, it seems that shock fruit is not as simple as it seems. Zhao Dezhao, explosive head 5 elders also nodded in agreement. Forget it. What we should be worried about is the Nika fruit, the bald 5 elders said to the remaining 5 elders. After hearing this, several other 5 elders nodded in agreement. Sora. We can pay a little attention to the news about shock fruit, but the top priority is to send troops to support the countries that have joined the world government. Then the bald 5 elders turned to Sora and gave instructions. Yes. After receiving the order, Kong immediately left the conference room and quickly rushed back to Marine to start making arrangements. The bald 5 elders looked at the cloudy sky outside the window and said in a deep voice, I hope it's too late, but I always feel that Rock's goal is not just to join the world government and join Guoxiang. I have a bad feeling, the 5 elders couldn't help but say. Chapter 48 Attack on World Government Alliance Countries. At this time, there is a certain sea area in New World. The Moby D*K is sailing quickly on the sea, and their target is the country that officially joins the world government. Nugate was currently staring at the direction of the Moby D*K with a stern expression. Dad. Tsunade didn't know when he had arrived at Nugate's side, and asked in a deep voice. Are you really going to listen to Rocks and implement a plan to destroy the country on others? Tsunade's mood was still a little heavy. 3 days had passed since he left Bee Island.
Although Tsunade has been trying to convince himself during this period, it has no effect now. After all, Tsunade grew up in Konoha village and eventually became the Hokage of Konoha. Konoha has always been playing the role of being invaded. So Tsunade can easily empathize with the country that was destroyed. What? Do you feel you can't bear it? Or do you think we are doing this too cruelly? Nugate looked at Tsunade gently and said. No. Tsunade heard this and shook his head, looking like he was hesitating to speak. I just think they have no hatred against us, so it's not good for us to invade them like this. Gyula Lala. Hearing this, Nugate couldn't help laughing. Tsunade, do you know why there are so many pirates in this world? Nugate suddenly became serious and said, Why? Tsunade asked with some confusion. She really didn't understand the truth here. Because they are all having such a hard time. Nugate's expression also became serious and he said in a deep voice. Let's talk about me. Dad 503, Dad's hometown is in the Sphinx in the New World. That island has been invaded by pirates all year round, so Dad has been an orphan since he was a child. Dad went to sea to find and protect his family, become a pirate. Nugate also fell into memories and said, the reason for the increasing number of pirates is ultimately the world government. World government? Didn't they set up Marine to protect civilians? Tsunade said with some confusion. Nugate said nothing but shook his head. Is not it? It's not as simple as you think. You know the world's noble celestial dragons, right? Nugate looked at Tsunade and said solemnly, Uh-huh. Tsunade also nodded when he heard this, indicating that he understood. The celestial dragons squander tons of money every year, but where does it come from? World government joining country. These countries join the world government in exchange for the protection of the world government, but in contrast, countries that join the world government need to pay a lot of heavenly gold every year. Advertisement. If you fail to pay the heavenly gold in time, you will be expelled from the world government member country or even be destroyed. Many countries must do their best every year to pay enough money. But what if the economy is in recession in a certain year? Where will the money come from? In the end, it can only be through the exploitation of civilians? And if civilians are not living well, they will go to sea and become pirates. If there are more pirates, more countries will join the world government in exchange for protection. Nugate only said this and did not continue. This has become an endless cycle, and the root of this cycle is celestial dragons and world government. Tsunade is such a smart person, he understood what his father meant in an instant. When an avalanche occurs, no snowflake is innocent. Countries that join the world government are seen as victims, but they are also perpetrators of oppression of civilians. That's right. Nugate nodded and then said, no matter what we are doing now is right or not, that Rock's guy's ultimate goal is to overthrow the world government, and what we have to do now is to weaken the world government. In that case, I also want to do my part, even if this chance is slim. Nugate said solemnly. Uh-huh. Tsunade also nodded after hearing this. However, regardless of whether Rocks can succeed or not, the fundamental purpose of joining Rock's pirate is to make money so that we can develop our power in the future. We cannot guarantee that others will live well, but we can guarantee that our own people will live happily. Nugate clenched his fists, and his eyes suddenly became extremely bright. Dad. Tsunade also looked at Nugate with admiration. At this time, she was no longer confused at all. Arrive. Suddenly a pirate gangster shouted. Nugate looked in the direction of the bow of the ship, and an island suddenly appeared in the direction of the Moby Dick. And it keeps getting closer. A moment later, the Moby D*K officially docked at the port of this country. Young men. Prepare to fight. Kill all the nobles and powerful people except the common people. Nugate held up his calm yunchi and swung Haki forward. Oh. BGFF. The surrounding pirates also looked like hungry wolves. One by one, they rushed forward. Tsunade, Sakura and Akahome also immediately followed Nugate's footsteps. Marco and Jinbei stayed to guard the ship and take care of Josie. Boom. Bump. Soon there was a violent roar in this world government member country. The roar continued like this for nearly 2 hours. Nugate also appeared at the port again with his men. But at this time, each of them was carrying a lot of treasure. Little ones, hurry up and load all the supplies onto the boat. Advertisement, Nugate said to his subordinates, while he found a position and did it. This country is worthy of being a member of the world government, and it does have some strength. Not only the number of soldiers was 2,000. There is actually an admiral-level person in charge. If Nugate wasn't strong enough, people from other divisions would have come to attack. He might be counterattacked or killed. Fortunately, Nugate's strength is strong enough. Successfully captured this country. Nugate can only be said to be a member of the world government, and it may be because it is preparing gold in the sky. There was only one word in Nugate's mind at this time: rich. Too rich. Because Nugate actually discovered 3 devil fruits and nearly 5 billion Baileys in the country's treasure house. Because those 3 devil fruits are unknown fruits, it's hard to say how much they're worth. But Nugate has made a lot of money out of the 5 billion Belly treasure alone. Although 1.5 billion Belly needs to be handed over. But he also has 3.5 billion Baileys left. Don't think it's not much. You must know that since Nugate went to sea until now, the remaining Baileys in the entire pirate group are only 5 billion Baileys. This is the result of more than 10 years of hard work. But now, it's only been 3 days since I joined Rock's Pirate. Such a terrifying income. Money, so much money. Tsunade's eyes now looked like money. How long can I gamble with this much money? Tsunade said excitedly. At this time, she seemed to have seen herself spending money like water in the casino. Hee. Seeing Tsunade's appearance, Nugate shook his head helplessly. He then focused his attention on the system, because just when Nugate conquered the country, a system prompt sounded, but he was searching for treasures at the time and did not have time to look at it. Ding. Congratulations to host for completing the achievement. Destroy the country. Do you want to receive the reward? Yes. Nugate said directly without any hesitation. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully receiving the achievement. Destroy the country. Reward. Ding. Congratulations to host for getting. Chapter 49 Sunblade Bloodblade. The Breakthrough Red Pupil. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully receiving the achievement. Destroy the country. Reward. Ding. Congratulations to host for winning a top-level weapon draw. It has been placed in the system warehouse. Close double angle bracket. Draw the top weapons once? Nugate looked at the reward without much emotion. After all, he already has the supreme sword Kong Yunki. Even if there is a better weapon than it, Nugate is unlikely to replace it if it is not too different. But thinking that my child didn't have a weapon yet, I thought to myself, what is the approximate level of the top weapon in the system? Ding. The top weapon is equivalent to the Supreme Sharp Knife. Close double angle bracket. The Supreme Sharp Knife? That's not bad. Help me extract the weapon? Nugate nodded and then no longer hesitated, secretly saying in his heart. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully drawing the top weapon, and happy host for getting a Nichiren sword. Close double angle bracket. Note. The Nichiren knife will recognize its owner the moment it is unsheathed, and the Nichiren knife has been strengthened, its sharpness and strength have been greatly enhanced, and after recognizing its owner, it will have characteristics suitable for its owner. Nichiren sword? What is it? Nugate asked doubtfully in his mind. Nichiren sword is a weapon used by the swordsmen of the Demon Slayer Corps. The blade is made of Gorilla Crimson Sandiron and Gorilla Crimson ore that absorb sunlight. It is the only weapon that can cause damage to demons. Depending on the attributes of the user, appears in different colors. Close double angle bracket. However, after the system has been strengthened, the strength and sharpness of the Nichiren sword have been greatly enhanced. Not only will it appear in different colors according to the user's attributes, but it will also awaken Futong's characteristics. Close double angle bracket. It looks good, but it doesn't suit me very well. Nugate took out the Nichiren sword and looked at it in his hand, but did not pull out the sword. After all, this knife is different. Once you pull it out, you will recognize its owner. But it seems to be quite suitable for Kaitong. Nugate also thought secretly in his heart. Currently, none of my children, including Tsunade, Sakura, Marco, Jinbei, etc., have the habit of using weapons. And it just so happened that Kaitong knew how to use a knife, but she also happened to have no weapons. Therefore, the final candidate for the ownership of this sword was decided to be Chitong. Chitong. I'll give you this weapon. It just so happens that you don't have a suitable weapon. Nugate threw the Nichiren sword in his hand directly. Shitong caught the Nichiren sword and looked at it carefully. Pull it out and try it, Nugate said with interest. Good. Shitong responded, and then pulled out the sun energy in his hand. After the Nichiren sword was pulled out by Kaitong, the original silver-white blade turned into blood red at a speed visible to the naked eye. Great knife. Kaitong couldn't put it down and stroked the blade of the Nichiren sword. Advertisement. Shitong didn't know why, but ever since she pulled out the knife, she felt that the knife fit her particularly well, as if she had a tacit understanding. What Shitong didn't know was that he had already recognized the knife at this time. The system checks the properties of the Nichiren knife. Nugate secretly thought to himself after seeing the changes in the Nichiren blade. Nichiren sword, unnamed, master. Edward red eyes. Characteristics. Energy loving, energy. When the owner of this knife uses this knife to fight, he will continue to absorb the energy fluctuations of the battle to restore his own physical strength. Close double angle bracket. This characteristic is very suitable for Kaitong. Nugate was a little surprised when he saw this feature. After all, Kaitong has the ability to kill with one strike. As long as Kaitong can break through the enemy's defense, he can inject the poison into it. Of course, it would be meaningless if there was no way to break through the enemy's defense. But, after possessing this characteristic, Shitong's battery life is greatly enhanced, and the fault tolerance rate in combat becomes higher. Shitong will have more time to find opportunities to break through the enemy's defense. If the enemy cannot deal with Kaitong in a short time, then Kaitong will definitely become their nightmare. And at the moment when he pulled out the Nichiren sword, Shitong finally made another step forward, and his strength finally broke through to the admiral level. Name: Edward red eyes. Age: 18 years old. Potential: S+. Power: S-class. Speed: S-class. Energy: S-class. Body level: S. Combat skills: Intermediate Conqueror's Hockey Top Killing Sword Technique, Curse and Poison. Weapon: Nichiren sword, unnamed. Ability: Yu Xiaojiao. Evaluation: Transformed into a demon sword and the demon sword merged into one, a natural killer, born to kill. After a long period of training, Kaitong was only one step away from breaking through to the admiral level. Just today the Nichiren sword recognized its master. Shitong finally took a step forward and finally reached the admiral level. 8. Nugate's pirate group already has 4 strong men of admiral level and above. Shitong, give this knife a name, advertisement, Nugate said while looking at Shitong, who couldn't put down his love for the Nichiren sword. Would you like to give me a name? Shitong stroked the blade of the Nichiren sword with some fascination and said thoughtfully, Blood red blade, black blade. Please give me flowers. Yes. Shitong's eyes flashed. Let's call it Bloodblade. Bloodblade. It really suits it. Nugate also nodded in agreement. The attribute panel of the Nichiren sword in Nugate's sight also changed. Bloodblade. Master. Edward red eyes. Characteristics: energy loving. Lord Nugate, all the treasures and daily necessities have been loaded onto the ship. Just when Nugate was examining the properties of the Bloodblade, suddenly a pirate came over and said, Okay, Yang Fan sets sail. Now go directly to the next world government joining country. When Nugate heard this, his eyes flashed with an inexplicable light, and he said loudly, 0. Yes. After hearing Nugate's words, everyone immediately took action. The Moby D*K also turned its bow and sailed quickly towards the next target. And just 2 hours after Nugate's Moby D*K departed, a warship is rapidly approaching the island. Sengoku Vice Admiral, we have arrived. A marine soldier said respectfully to a man with a seabird standing above his head. I've already seen it. Sengoku looked at Far Easton's flaming island with an ugly expression. We're already late. As the warship slowly approached, Sengoku's expression became more serious. Because in his observation Haki, except for civilians, no nobles or soldiers were found on the island. There are only 2 possibilities for this situation: either the king fled with the nobles and soldiers. Either that or all the nobles and soldiers have been massacred. The flaming island in front of us is obviously the second situation. All the nobles and soldiers were killed. For this country, it was equivalent to being destroyed. Sengoku exhaled a deep breath and said seriously, "Fight the fire with all your strength and protect the civilians." After giving this order to his men, Sengoku also picked up the phone and dialed a number. Chapter 50 The Furious World Government. What? An angry roar came from the marshal's office at naval headquarters. Say it again. The Rocks pirates actually directly joined the world government and destroyed the country? Kong had prepared for the worst, but even so, he never thought that Rocks would actually make such a crazy decision. The worst-case scenario in Sora's imagination is just that all the countries that have joined the world government will be plundered. Who would have thought that an act of annihilation would actually be carried out? Sora already felt a chill on his back. You must know that the result of this is that the world government will have one less country to join, which also means that the heavenly gold will be less each year. Sora seemed to have seen the 5 elders attacking him. Sengoku. Sora thought for a moment and said in a deep voice, "You should go to the nearest world government member country immediately. You must stop those guys from Rock's pirate." But, Sengoku's hesitant voice came from the phone. 460. Are we just going to ignore these civilians now? You have to know that the fire is still spreading in this country, and countless people are about to be displaced. Obey orders, Sengoku. Kong said angrily, but these civilians. Sengoku still wanted to fight for it, but was immediately interrupted by Kong. I told you to go to the nearest world government member country right now. Sora's tone was full of undeniable feeling. Yes. Hearing this, Sengoku was silent for a moment, and then squeezed out the word from between his teeth. After hanging up the phone, Sora rubbed his forehead with a headache. But, suddenly a flash of lightning flashed through his mind. Suddenly he seemed to remember something. 17 fleets. The Rocks pirate was divided into 17 fleets when they left Beehive Island. When Sengoku arrived at the island, the pirates had already left, so he didn't know which fleet of Rocks pirate it was. Suddenly an ominous premonition arose in Kong's heart. Report. Suddenly there was a rapid sound, and a correspondent rushed in a panic. Urgent report. 16 world government member countries were attacked at the same time. They can no longer hold on. They are asking for our support. As expected, Kong looked as if this was indeed the case, and then ordered, notify Garp and Zephyr immediately. But before Sora could say anything, another correspondent rushed in immediately and said anxiously, the 16 participating countries have been destroyed. Just now, the 16 fleets of Rock's pirate have left and continue to unknown destinations. Crack. The pen in his empty hand fell directly to the floor. Advertisement. Taking a deep breath, Kong said to the correspondent, I understand, go down. All 17 world government member countries were destroyed at the same time in just one day. Even though something like this happened, he can't be entirely blamed. But 5 elders will definitely vent all their anger on themselves. Although I am afraid of being blamed by the 5 elders, such a serious thing has happened and cannot be solved in vain. After thinking for a moment, Sora took the information to the 5 elders' conference room. And back to Sengoku. Marshal Kong asked him to abandon these civilians and immediately go to support the next country's decision, which made Sengoku unable to calm down for a long time. But considering that if I can't support it, the next country will be destroyed like this one. Sengoku finally reluctantly accepted the order, and just when Sengoku was about to give the order. Marine is here to save us, thank you Marine. Thank you Marine. When the surrounding civilians saw Marine getting off the boat one after another, they all knelt down in excitement. Keep kowtowing. Seeing this scene, Sengoku couldn't calm down for a long time. However, considering that the next country would also suffer such a tragic situation if it did not provide support, so I decided to give the order. Uncle Marine. Are you here to save us? A little girl asked timidly, pulling on Sengoku's pants. Hearing this, Sengoku also fell into silence. To hell with protecting a country, if you can't protect the civilians in front of you, what kind of justice is that? Sengoku no longer cares about any orders at this time. He cannot abandon the civilians in front of them. Yes. We're here to save you, Sengoku said as he rubbed the little girl's head gently. Thank you Uncle Marine. The little girl immediately said happily after hearing this. Hee hee. Sengoku also chuckled, rubbed the little girl's head, and then joined the rescue minister. And back to Sora. Advertisement at this time, he had returned to the Five Elders conference room with the information. Boom! Explosive Five Elders angrily stepped on the ground, making a violent sound. The ground originally made of boulders collapsed. Sora could only lower his head in fear at this time, not daring to say anything. That's great, Sora. That's how you do things. A total of 17 countries that have joined the world government have been destroyed. Do you know how much less gold we collect in a year? Explosive Five Elders said angrily. Okay, calm down. There's no point in blaming him. A whole 10 Admiral-class fleets were dispatched at the same time. Marine simply couldn't handle it. The bald Five Elders said in a deep voice. Don't tell me that all 17 countries have been defended. He didn't even defend a single world government member country. This is his fault. The Five Elders slowly calmed down after hearing this. But looking at their style of plundering and escaping immediately after attacking the franchising countries, it's obvious that they want to create a time lag with us. Goatee Five Elders touched their beards and thought. They want to eliminate the world government member countries to the greatest extent before we can react. No, we can no longer let them do whatever they want, the bald Five Elders said and turned to look at Sora. Sora, from now on, all actions of Marine, including you, will be directly coordinated by us. We must stop them in the shortest possible time. Yes. Kong Wenyan also nodded. The 17 world government member countries were destroyed at the same time, which really made the Five Elders a little angry. So now they have decided to take action. Suddenly the entire behemoth world government began to move. Marine and CP-0-9 also began to take action under the mobilization of Five Elders. 5 days later. Nugate 2.1 here. Five Elders' guess was indeed correct. Rock's plan is to have 15 squadrons, as well as Rock's himself and Nugate, a total of 17 fleets dispatched at the same time. In the shortest possible time, these 17 world government-affiliated countries will be simultaneously carried out to destroy their countries. And we must destroy as many world government-affiliated countries as possible in the shortest time before the world government can react. So after destroying the last world government member country, Nugate let the Moby Dick move non-stop to the next target. Nugate looked at the island getting closer and closer and showed an excited smile. The moment the ship finally docked, Nugate rushed out as fast as he could and began the annihilation of the country again. Chapter 51. 1 month later, Mysterious Boy. 1 month later. On an island in New World, Nugate was leading his subordinates, and Tsunade and the others were happily holding a banquet. Lord Nugate. We are completely famous. A pirate ganger handed a newspaper to Nugate and said excitedly. Goo la la la. Let me see. Nugate took the newspaper and looked at it carefully. It was clearly written in the newspaper. Rock's pirate destroyed 69 world government member countries. Edward Nugate, the devil who destroyed the country, 5 countries that joined the world government were destroyed. Goo la la la. They actually called me the country-destroying devil. Nugate said excitedly when he saw the content in the newspaper. But a whole 5 countries were destroyed by us. It doesn't seem wrong to call Lord Nugate that way. The pirates around him also said excitedly. After all, in this short period of 1 month, Lee K made much more money than before. It is worth mentioning that, after Nugate destroyed the first world government country, he immediately rushed to the second world government country as quickly as possible and successfully destroyed it. But, when Nugate arrived in the third world government country, at this time, the world government has reacted. A vice admiral and a marine of a warship have been arranged for joint defense in this franchised country. But they can't stand up to Nugate and Tsunade. Red 16 Hitomi, Sakura and others are powerful. There was not much hindrance, and Marine and the country's defensive force were quickly eliminated. But, when arriving at the fourth country, they unexpectedly met Marine led by Sengoku. Sengoku is worthy of being the future Marine Marshal. After this period of growth, he already has the strength to enter the Marshal level for the first time. And with the blessing of the Phantom Beast Big Buddha Fruit, it has very terrifying combat power and body recovery ability. So Nugate had no confidence in taking down Sengoku in a short time. So in order to win the country this time, we can only rely on Nugate to drag Sengoku. and let Tsunade, Sakura, and Akahito attack the world government member countries with all their strength. Fortunately, Tsunade and the others were so powerful that they solved the country without any effort at all. And, when they arrived at the last country, Nugate actually met Garp there. You must know that Garp is close to his peak at this time. He has the strength of a marshal at the peak level. Just standing there makes people feel shuddering. Moreover, there were actually 2 members of the CPO on Garp's ship. You must know that those who can enter CPO must be at least admiral level. Advertisement and these 2 people are obviously 2 admiral levels. In the end, Nugate desperately used the 8 inner gates formation in the 5th gate Duman to successfully repel Garp and the others. In fact, if it weren't for the opening of the 8th gate, Nugate's speed was too fast, and Garp was afraid that Nugate would massacre his men. And the 2 CPUs have been seriously injured, otherwise it may not be easy to say who will win in the end. Although it eventually destroyed the country, but Nugate no longer has the desire to continue attacking the world government member countries. After all, as the world government reacted, more and more Marine or CP series experts were mobilized one after another. It has also become very difficult for Nugate to continue to implement the plan to destroy the country. This encounter with Garp with 2 strong CP0 players is the best example. All the Nugates also started their return journey. Encountering this island on the way, in order to relax the mental tension caused by long-term killing, we also started a banquet. That's why the scene just happened. Nugate also smiled and was about to put down the newspaper, when suddenly a stack of reward orders slipped out of the newspaper. Reward? Nugate also picked it up with some doubts. Name: Rox D. Zebek. Title: God of Darkness. Identity: Captain Rox Pirate. Evil deeds: the strongest man in the world, the instigator of the destruction of 69 countries that have joined the world government, and he does not care whether he lives or lives for heinous crimes. Bounty: 6.55 billion Baileys. Seeing Rock's bounty, Nugate immediately raised his eyebrows and said with some confusion, Rock's bounty is actually higher than in the previous life. Is it because I destroyed 2 more countries than in the previous life? In the previous life, Rox only succeeded in destroying 40 world government-affiliated countries after attacking the world government-affiliated countries. And now because Nugate has become stronger, coupled with the existence of Tsunade, Sakura, and Shitong. So in this life, Nugate successfully destroyed 5 world government member countries, 2 more than in the previous life. And because Nugate's lineup is astonishing, there is 1 marshal-level leader and 3 admiral-level leaders. So the world government also arranged more people to stop Nugate. Nugate reduced the pressure on others in disguise, so the number of others who more or less destroyed the country also increased. This resulted in a total of 69 world government member countries being destroyed. Nugate looked at other people's bounties again, and sure enough they were all much higher than in the previous life. And when Nugate picked up the reward warrants for himself and his daughters, his pupils shrank. Name: Edward Nugate. Title: Whitebeard. Identity: Vice Captain of Rox Pirate. Evil deeds: Vice Captain of Rox Pirate, personally destroyed 5 world government member countries. He is so powerful that he can live or die for heinous crimes. Bounty: 5,050 million belly. The world government is so generous. It actually set my bounty at 5,050 million belly. This is higher than my bounty in my previous life. Nugate was a little shocked when he saw it at first. But after thinking about it carefully, I felt a little relieved. Advertisement after all. He personally destroyed 5 world government member countries, and was also the vice captain of the Rox Pirate. The most important thing is that he showed his peak martial level strength in the battle with Garp. This misleads world government. If the world government knew its true strength, it would never offer such a high bounty to itself. Although his bounty was a bit high, Nugate was not panicked at all. After all, Nugate is fully confident that he is worthy of this bounty. Nugate shook his head and stopped thinking about it, then turned to look at the other reward notices. Name: Edward Tsunade. Title: Wei Li. Identity: Rox Pirate member. Evil deeds: Member of Rox Pirate, participated in the destruction of 5 world government-affiliated countries, possesses admiral-level strength, and does not care about life or death for heinous crimes. Bounty. 2.55 billion Baileys. Name: Edward Sakura. Title: Shadow Demon. Identity: Rock's Pirate member. Evil deeds. Members of Rock's Pirate participated in the destruction of 5187 world government member countries, extremely terrifying executioners, killed countless people, and did not care about life or death for heinous crimes. Bounty: 2.05 billion Baileys. Name: Edward Shatong. Title: Bloodblade. Identity: Rock's Pirate member. Evil deeds. Member of Rock's Pirate, participated in the destruction of 5 world government-affiliated countries, possesses admiral-level strength, and does not care about life or death for heinous crimes. Bounty: 1.55 billion Baileys. Looking at the reward orders for his 3 daughters, Nugate nodded in agreement. The titles of the 3 of them are also particularly suitable for them. Except for Sakura's bounty, which is a bit inflated, everything else is not good. Sakura would be offered such a high bounty. Please note that it was during the operation to destroy the country. Because Sakura has nearly unlimited magic power, coupled with her ability to control shadows. So, Sakura has been responsible for cleaning up the miscellaneous soldiers. The number of soldiers who died in her hands was not 100,000, but definitely 50,000. That's why the bounty is so high. After reading it, Nugate casually threw the reward order aside. After all, from the perspective of pirates, bounties are just a reflection of their own strength. It has no other effect. Although his own bounty and the bounty of his daughters have increased a lot, Nugate doesn't care. But just when Nugate wanted to keep drinking, sudden, a mysterious boy wearing a purple windbreaker and holding a long knife rushed towards Nugate quickly. Chapter 52. Be my son. Damn Whitebeard, just die. The mysterious young man in purple clothes raised the long knife in his hand and struck at Nugate quickly. This sudden scene made the surrounding pirates stunned. For a moment, I didn't know how to react, hee. Nugate also discovered the boy who was coming towards him. Suddenly there was an interesting smile on his face. Dad, Oil, Shatong originally wanted to take action, but was stopped by Tsunade. Tsunade pointed at the smile on Nugate's lips. Shatong understood instantly, put away the bloodblade and stood aside quietly. As for worrying that your father will be injured? Are you kidding me? Not to mention how many people in this world can hurt my father. The boy in front of him would never hurt his father. Although that young man is pretty good, he looks like he is around 17 years old. With the strength of Marine Vice Admiral, no matter where it is placed, this is definitely an out-and-out genius. But, if you put this little strength in front of your father, it's still too young. Whitebeard. The boy in purple clothes roared angrily, jumped up in front of Nugate, and slashed hard with his knife. Bump. Nugate also immediately drew out Kong Yunki behind him and held the young man's knife. Kong Yunki and the long knife collided together, making a huge noise. Why did the young man attack me? Nugate did not defeat the boy immediately, but asked with some doubts. Do you need a reason to attack a criminal pirate? The boy in purple said with an angry look at Nugate. Goo la la la. There really is no need for a reason. Nugate also laughed when he heard this and said, but how can you be sure that I am sinful? Hearing this, the boy in purple clothes was a little speechless, because he really couldn't be sure. But when I think about the man in front of me, he destroyed 5 countries in 1 month. How could such a person not be a sinful person? You, the pirate who destroyed 5 countries, are a sinful person. The boy in purple said angrily, Gu la la la, tilde. Advertisement, yeah. Nugate also laughed when he heard this, and then asked meaningfully, what do you think is justice and what is sin? Justice naturally means punishing r**** and eradicating evil, hoeing the strong and supporting the weak. The crime is of course murder, arson, and taking advantage of power to bully others. After hearing Nugate's question, the boy in purple answered without hesitation. Very good. Hearing this, Nugate nodded and continued. What I want to tell you is that the countries I destroyed only killed the royal family and nobles. And those royal families and nobles kept exploiting the common people in order to raise the gold in the sky. Jinbei enslaved and killed the common people. Do you think they are righteous or sinful?
Am I trying to support the weak by killing those royal families and nobles? Putting away Kong Yunki, he said earnestly, X. The boy in purple couldn't help but take a few steps back after hearing this. Because he has never thought about this problem. I just feel that pirates must be evil and marines must be righteous. Seeing that the boy in purple was confused, Nugate decided to strike while the iron was hot. After all, this boy looks to be only about 17 years old, but he already has Vice Admiral level strength. The talent is definitely good. Although he didn't know his name, Nugate had already considered adopting him. Do you think Marine is righteous? Of course. The boy in purple replied without hesitation. Then do you think those Kailong people who don't have to do anything, but can enjoy privileges and kill people at will without paying any price, are evil or just? Is Marine protecting the celestial dragons a sin or a righteousness? Nugate kept talking like sugar-coated bullets. The boy in purple also fell into deep self-doubt after hearing this. He didn't know why a pirate who he thought was evil could say such a thing. The main reason was that he actually felt that what the other party said was correct. The young man in purple clothes seemed to be in a state of despair. He lay straight on the ground and said in despair, I didn't expect that I can't even distinguish between justice and sin. Come and kill me. The purple-clothed boy seemed to have accepted his fate and exposed his neck. Gula Lala. Nugate looked at the young man who had already fallen into self-doubt. Knowing that he was already halfway successful, he immediately said excitedly, Young man, what's your name? Lifetime. The young man still closed his eyes and said with some self-deprecation, It seems that after death, I can still have a tombstone with a name. Lifetime. Not a bad name. Nugate has never heard of this name, but after all, the sea is so big, maybe he will hide himself in the future? All your life. Be my son. Bear my surname on your back and live in this world. This time, use your heart to judge what is true justice and sin. Nugate stretched out his hand to life and said, Advertisement. You won't kill me? Yisheng looked at Nugate with some shock. You are still so young, wouldn't it be a pity to die here? Nugate looked at Shengsheng tenderly and said, How about it? I do, Dad. This life has been full of pain and tears. Gu la la la. Did you hear that? Laozi finally has another son? Nugate also laughed excitedly after hearing this. Congratulations, Dad. Very well, Lord Nugate. Everyone around him was also happy for Nugate. Dad, at this time, I don't know when Yisheng had gone up from the ground. Holding a long knife in his hand, he said with a face of shame, I didn't expect that I have been looking for justice, but I fell into the bad habit of judging people by their appearance. Not only are there too many dirty and despicable people in this world that people cannot bear to look at, but they are also full of falsehoods that I cannot judge the truth from the lies. In this case, let's see the world clearly from now on. As he spoke, he actually did something in his life that shocked everyone present. Ji Shengsheng used the long knife in his hand to quickly cut his eyes twice, and his eyelids and eyes were cut in half. Peefed. X2 immediately blood spurted out from Shengsheng's eyes. Life. What are you doing? When Nugate saw this scene, he immediately grabbed the knife from Yisheng's hand anxiously. Tsunade. Upon hearing this, Tsunade immediately used healing jutsu to treat him. Under Tsunade's treatment, the bleeding stopped quickly and the wound was completely healed, leaving only 2 scars. But, my eyes have lost their brightness forever. What are you doing with your life? Nugate asked helplessly. It's a blessing not to be able to see things. There are too many dirty and despicable people in the world that people can't bear to look at. Issei just smiled and said, Well, Nugate's thousands of words finally turned into a sigh. At the same time, I was blaming myself, wondering if I had stimulated the child too much. However, after watching his whole life using observation hockey to sense his surroundings, he looks just like a normal person. Nugate was suddenly a little curious about the attributes of his life. The system opens the lifetime property panel, Nugate said secretly in his heart. Name. Chapter 53 The Fourth Daughter. Name. Edward. Life. Age. 17 years old. Potential. S+. Power. A class. Speed. A class. Energy. A class. Body grade. A. Combat skills.
Top observation hockey advanced armament hockey advanced swordsmanship gravity knife Tiger Hell Brigade. Ability. Blind man with many fruits. Evaluation. Once upon a time, there was a top expert who taught his disciples that when you close one eye, your enemies are reduced by half, and you can hear clearly all your life hiding outside the door. Looking at the lifetime attribute panel, Nugate fell into deep thought. There is an additional ability in the ability of the lifetime attribute panel, Blind Man. And why does the system's evaluation feel so strange? System. What's going on with your evaluation? Nugate was unable to complain at this time. What does it mean to close one eye and the enemy is reduced by half, but the person hiding outside the door can hear clearly all his life? So this is the reason why you have been blinded all your life? Nugate suddenly felt that his cheap system was quite expensive sometimes. He shook his head and ignored the weird system, and prepared to draw the fourth daughter. Because just after Yisheng agreed to be his son, the system's beep rang immediately. But, because at that time, I would actually do something that would destroy my eyes in my life. So Nugate was shocked at the time, didn't even notice. Just now when looking at the life attributes panel, 85 happened to see this prompt message. Due to this special situation in life, Nugate and others no longer have the desire to continue drinking. After everyone returned to the Moby D*K, Nugate then ordered the return to Beehive Island. Let Tsunade spend his life familiarizing himself with Moby D*K, while Nugate himself returned to the room. Ding! Congratulations to host for getting the fourth son. Do you want to receive the fourth son? Yes. Nugate said without hesitation. Ding! Congratulations on successfully claiming the host reward. Now we will start to draw the unfortunate people in the world. Please wait while the draw is in progress. As the sound of the system fell, a translucent screen also appeared in front of Nugate's eyes. A cute girl with golden hair appeared in the center of the screen. But what really caught people's attention was the strand of hair on the top of her head, which beat cutely with her movements. Gula Lala. Advertisement. What a lovely guy. Even Nugate, an old man who has lived for 2 lifetimes, was shocked by the cuteness of the little girl in the picture. The picture began to change. The girl, who is about 5 years old, has to follow the adults in farming during the day, and learn swordsmanship and etiquette in her free time. Even during the only 3 hours of sleep every day, she has to be instilled with the knowledge of the king by an old witch. This child has been trained as a weapon since he was a child. Nugate was a little silent. After all, this approach was too inhumane. From the moment this child is born, everything in his life grows up under the arrangement and control of others. Nugate didn't have time to think too much. The picture continued to change. In this way, the little girl grew up day by day until she was 15 years old. Suddenly one day the little girl's country was in danger. The country needed a new king to lead them. The knights all came to the National Church Cemetery to choose a new king by drawing a sword embedded in a stone. But all failed without exception. At this time, a girl who was only 15 years old stood up. She knew very well that once she pulled out the sword in the stone, she would no longer be the little girl who studied and trained hard to become a king, but a real king. In order to protect the people, her sword will be stained with blood. Even if she is abandoned, betrayed, and reviled, she will never look back. Even so, she pulled out the sword without hesitation. As if it were a matter of course, he pulled out the sword in the stone, and the king's body and appearance stopped growing and aging, and stayed at the moment when he was 15 years old. The little girl who became the king did well. She drove away the enemies in the north and defeated one enemy after another who wanted to subvert the kingdom. Everything seems to be going in the right direction. Although this child was unfortunately raised as a weapon from birth, I have to say that she is an excellent king. Nugate seemed to have forgotten the power of his crow's mouth. I couldn't help but sigh. Really, as Nugate spoke. The picture changes again. Behind this beauty, an undercurrent is actually surging quietly. The nobles resented the king for tampering with their vested interests. All of this finally broke out one day. The king who came back from the expedition saw the scene he had seen before. On the coastline, flames shot out from the port, and the soldiers whose expressions changed drastically sent the order. Her nominal son rebelled. At that moment, the little girl felt a chill in her heart. Her long-standing worries finally became a reality. The rebellion and counterinsurgency battle lasted for 7 days and 7 nights, and the war spread to the entire island. The country, which was already lacking in vitality, once again suffered indelible serious injuries. The little girl was very anxious, but when things got to this point, revolving heaven was at its wit's end. Looking at the corpses everywhere, the girl suddenly remembered what the knight said before leaving. "King, you don't understand people's hearts." She knew why those people betrayed her. Maybe all of this was really her fault. Advertisement: everyone has already reached the limit. I am the only one who thinks there is no problem. The king who was born from human ideals still cannot understand human weakness. It was at this moment that the girl's heart gave in for the first time. But even so, what needs to be done still needs to be done. The holy sword in her hand had lost its luster, so she held the holy spear in her hand and faced down her fellow compatriots who were charging towards her, defeating them one by one. In the end, only 2 figures were left on the blood-stained Kamchu. Why? The rebellious knight kept questioning him in front of the king. Why don't you pass the throne to yourself? Why don't you admit that you are her flesh and blood? Why was he born in this way? The girl did not answer her nominal son, but silently waved the holy spear. At the moment when the two were closest, he penetrated her. However, at the same time, the rebellious knight's sword also touched the king's body. One of the king's eyes and the remaining life were also completely taken away by the knight. After the bloody battle, the girl knelt down and supported her body with the holy sword that had long lost its meaning. Looking at the mountains of remains, she, who had always been strong, finally couldn't help crying loudly. I have caused countless wars and taken countless lives. Therefore, even if I die more miserably than anyone else, I will accept it. Obviously, this is how it should be, she cried bitterly. Am I the only one who will cause destruction? The girl already knew that both herself and the country would eventually be destroyed. She just felt that the destruction should be more stable and end like a peaceful sleep. This is wrong. This is definitely a mistake. A girl who knew from the very beginning that what she was doing would never be successful. Before the destruction comes, I still scream unwillingly. Even if I can tolerate my own death, I will never allow this situation. In fact, she had known for a long time that Britain could not be saved at all, and the end of peace in her dream could not be realized at all. It's just her mission and her stubbornness that don't allow her to admit this fact. Because of this, when the girl heard the invitation from that voice, she chose to accept it without hesitation. Even though she knew what it meant to receive this power. As long as I can avoid this kind of destruction, I don't care what the price is. So the girl fell into an endless hell where redemption is difficult to obtain. The meaningless journey to pursue the Holy Grail began, and the cruel reincarnation over and over again. The picture ends here. A girl with golden hair is wearing silver armor and holding a knight's sword with a blue scabbard in her hand. She stands in the center of the picture bravely. And below is her real name. Chapter 54: The Powerful Artoria. Artoria Pendragon. Ding. The extraction of Artoria was successful. Now let's use host's genes to shape her body. Please wait. As the system beeped, a shadow appeared in front of Nugate, and it gradually became solid as time went by. Finally, 5 minutes later, the figure completely solidified. A 15-year-old girl with golden hair suddenly appeared in front of Nugate. Dwang. Dwang. I don't know why Nugate was at the moment when Artoria's body solidified. His eyes were directly drawn to that little bunch of stupid hair. And, as she breathed, Dai Mao kept beating, which was very playful. Are you my master Arturia opened her eyes, an imperceptible fatigue flashed across her eyes, and her eyes focused on Nugate. Emster. Nugate had no idea what Arturia was talking about, but he thought that the system should have implanted information. I think I should have information in your mind. I am your father in this life. Arturia was also stunned when she heard this, because she had forgotten how long it had been since she heard this word. Are you tired? Let's live peacefully in this world from now on? Looking at Artoria's 15-year-old face, she still looks so immature in appearance. But his face was full of exhaustion. Nugate held Arturia in his arms with some distress, and said softly, after you come to this world, you may never go back, but if you are willing, Dad can help you build a new Britain. Empire. Suddenly being hugged by Nugate, Artoria's body became a little stiff. But feeling the warm embrace, he gradually relaxed. She is so tired, it had been a long time since he had felt such warm concern. From the day she pulled out the sword from the stone, she became an omnipotent king in the eyes of the common people. But the king cannot be weak, so the king does not need to care or sympathize. But, after all, she is just a 15-year-old girl, but she hides all her bad emotions in her heart. Can't you go back? Fortunately, I'm already tired. Artoria rubbed her head comfortably, and all her uneasiness slowly dissipated. Call. Then he fell asleep quietly in Nugate's arms. He even snored comfortably. Nugate gently hugged Artoria and saw that she had fallen asleep peacefully. He said with some distress, "You no longer need to pretend to be strong in the future. Tu and his brothers and sisters will always be your strongest supporter." Snoring. Arturia was still sleeping comfortably and peacefully in Nugate's arms, but there was a beautiful curve on the corner of her mouth. The system opens Artoria's property panel. Advertisement. Nugate carefully adjusted Artoria into a position that was easier for him to hold, and then examined Artoria's attributes. Name: Edward Artoria. Age: 15 years old. Potential: S+. Power: S+. Rank: Speed: S+. Class: Energy: S+. Level. Body level: S+. Combat skills: Top swordsmanship, riding, intuitive magic and release of leadership. Weapon: the Sword of Promise of Victory. Ability: Heart of the Red Dragon. Evaluation: Dumbao is the real body, and Japan can only eat to protect the people. Not bad. After seeing Artoria's attribute panel, Nugate nodded subconsciously. Although Arturia was only 15 years old, that was because she pulled out the sword in the stone and her age stayed at 15 years old forever. But, after countless wars and battles, Artoria's potential has long been developed to ultimate. However, Nugate was still very interested in Artoria's skills, weapons, and abilities. The system checks the attributes of Artoria's skills, weapons, and abilities. Ride. After becoming a servant, she has very strong riding ability and can skillfully control various mounts, including ancient two-horse chariots and modern land vehicles. She cannot control fantasy species at the level of Warcraft and Holy Beasts. Close double angle bracket. Intuition. Intuition is the ability to instantly determine the most suitable action for oneself in combat. It can even enter the field of predicting the future. It can predict ballistic trajectories through wind and intuition, and avoid attacks by firearms and obstacles to vision and hearing. Halved. Close double angle bracket. Magic released. Magic release refers to strengthening one's weapons and body with magic power. Close double angle bracket. Leadership. The ability to govern a country. Relying on this ability, Arturia can make the morale of the army she leads high. Close double angle bracket. Hiss. Looking at Artoria's skill attributes, even Nugate couldn't help but take a breath. It's really too strong. Although Artoria's potential is only S+ level, with the blessing of these skills, Artoria's combat power is definitely beyond the peak admiral level strength. Moreover, with her intuition, magic power release and charisma, it is obvious that Artoria would practice hockey. There will be very high talent in observation hockey and armament hockey as well as conqueror's hockey. The Sword of Promised Victory. Master: Edward Artoria. Feature: Excalibur. Excalibur converts the wielder's magic power into light, and then emits it from the tip of the sword swung downwards like a laser beam, destroying everything. Close double angle bracket. Advertisement: Please give me flowers, oh, Wind King's boundary. Master: Edward Artoria. Characteristics: Barrier Wind King Hammer. Boundary: by winding around several layers, the refractive index of light changes to cover the end of the sword body. Wind King Hammer. Release the condensed air in one fell swoop, and serve as a penetrating long-range attack weapon against groups of enemies. Close double angle bracket. Distant Utopia. Master: Edward Artoria. Characteristics: Life Barrier and True Name Barrier. Life Barrier. The holder will recover from any injury, and even the aging process will stop. True Name Barrier. By liberating its true name, the barrier that brings the strongest protection will unfold, protecting it from all physical interference. Close double angle bracket. F*K. If Artoria's skills surprised Nugate, then the weapons that Artoria brought with her shocked Nugate. Powerful. It's really too strong. With the blessing of these three weapons, Artoria really wants to output and defend, and defend. And, because of the existence of a distant utopia, Artoria's recovery ability is also terrifying. Heart of the Red Dragon. Having the body and defense of a red dragon. Nugate was even a little numb when he saw this. Although Artoria only has S+ potential, with the blessing of these things. The average martial level is no match for Artoria. And, Artoria still has the body of a red dragon in a distant ideal land. Nugate always feels that the strongest creature in the world in the future may not be Kaido, but her daughter Artoria. Suddenly Nugate was also looking forward to what interesting things would happen if Artoria and Kaido collided. Moreover, Artoria possesses such terrifying resilience that she can even recover from all injuries. If I teach her the 8 inner gates formation, can Arturia even open the 8 gates to fight? Nugate suddenly felt an interesting picture appear in his mind. That's when Artoria encounters an enemy she can't defeat, and opens the 8 gate on the battlefield to fight the enemy. Halfway through the fight, when you run out of energy, lie down and rest. When you recover, open the 8 gate again and continue fighting. It's like doing sit-ups, you don't know if your opponent will collapse? Goo la la la. Nugate couldn't help laughing as he thought about it, but when he saw Artoria still sleeping, he immediately closed his mouth nervously. Seeing that Arturia was not woken up by him, she breathed a sigh of relief. Chapter 55 2 Foodies. Back to Beehive Island? After a long time, Arturia finally woke up. You're awake? Nugate looked at Arturia, who had just woken up in a funny way. I have to say that Dai Mao is indeed her real body. When Nugate was sleeping on Arturia, he was curious and wanted to press her hair down. But no matter what I tried, it was no use. Later, Nugate gritted his teeth and stamped his feet, and directly tied Artoria's stupid hair with a rope. Result. Something happened that caught Nugate off guard. The hair next to the original dull hair stood up and became a new protector. This scene made Nugate dumbfounded. I actually fell asleep. Arturia's face immediately turned red when she realized that she had fallen asleep in her father's arms. Goo la la la. Come on, I'll take you to meet your brothers and sisters. So Nugate brought Arturia to Marco and the others who were exercising. Introduced Arturia to them, because we are all 687 children adopted by our father. So they didn't reject Arturia at all. Arturia also integrated into them very quickly. After all, Arturia used to be the head of a country, and she faced nobles with ulterior motives. Getting along with Tsunade and Marco was like child's play. And it's worth mentioning, Arturia actually got along best with Shitong. The reason? Of course you can eat it. The two foodies felt as if they had met their soulmates the first time they ate together. Others are full after eating 1 or 2 bowls. Shitong and Arturia, on the other hand, ate in piles. Moreover, both of their stomachs were like bottomless pits. It seems that the belly is very small, but I don't know how to fit so much food into it. But, anyway, the two of them established a deep friendship because of this reason. Weird foodie friendship. Arturia, who had completely integrated into this big family, also started Conqueror's hockey training under Tsunade's guidance. Just 1 month later, the Moby D*K has returned to the waters near Beehive Island. As expected, Arturia has 3 skills based on intuition, magic power release, and leadership qualities. In the process of learning Conqueror's hockey, he showed a very terrifying talent. Even Tsunade couldn't help but admire Arturia's hockey talent. Advertisement. After only 1 month of study, Arturia's Conqueror's hockey has already reached the advanced level of Conqueror's hockey. You must know that even Tsunade took about 2 months of study before he mastered the advanced Conqueror's hockey. And Arturia actually mastered it in such a short period of time. Although the main reason is that Arturia is powerful, her talent is still terrifying. This kind of life is so comfortable. Nugate was lying on the lounge chair, and the warm sunshine made him couldn't help shouting out comfortably. Because when he met that scary guy Garp before, Nugate opened the 5th gate of the 8 inner gates to fight. Although Nugate's physical rating has improved, and he received treatment from Tsunade immediately after the battle. But, even so, it still took Nugate 2 or 3 days to recover. So in this case, Nugate was restrained by Tsunade. You can't train every day, you can't drink. So during this period, Nugate spent every day besides eating and sleeping. Life is so comfortable. It is worth mentioning that, in this operation, Nugate led his own subordinates and the Japanese Communist Party destroyed 5 World Government Alliance countries. Moreover, the time when Rox chose to attack World Government member countries was very coincidental. It happens to be 1 month before these participating countries are going to hand over the heavenly gold. At this time, the countries that join the world government are the richest of the year. So after destroying these 5 countries, there is now a total of 30 billion Baileys worth of treasure and more than a dozen devil fruits in the Moby D*K warehouse. This time the action was really rewarding in the true sense. Although you have to hand over 4 devil fruits and about 9 billion Baileys treasure. But Nugate felt it was well worth it. After all, if he hadn't joined the Rox pirate, he wouldn't have dared to declare war on the world government so blatantly. Directly attack world government affiliated countries. Although Nugate needs to turn over some revenue. But, after all, this operation achieved a major success. That guy Rox will take out some things and distribute them to his subordinates. And the phoenix fruit that I have always been thinking about. I also got it from this distribution in my previous life. Beehive Island has arrived. Soon the Moby D*K had docked at the port of Beehive Island, and a pirate also shouted loudly. At this time, several pirate ships had docked at the port, and it seemed that someone had already returned to Beehive Island in front of him. Nugate glanced at the pirate ships in the harbor. It was discovered that the Black Pearl had also returned to Beehive Island. This proves that Rox guy is back too. Go and talk to Rox first. After all, that guy is his captain now. After thinking about it, Nugate took Tsunade and a few other children off the Moby D*K. After all, they had been floating at sea for so long. Advertisement. Now that I'm back, I naturally want to take a good rest on the island for a while. Look, it's Lord Whitebeard. Master Whitebeard is back. The pirates who were still patrolling the shore cheered in admiration as soon as they saw Nugate. It is worth mentioning that Nugate, in this operation, completely gave the name Whitebeard a name. Now it's hard for others to recognize Nugate when they see him. After all, Nugate's crescent-shaped white beard is really rare. Ha 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 ha, Whitebeard Nugate. You are really famous all over the world now. Just when Nugate wanted to go in search of Rox, suddenly, a pirate ship with a golden lion head slowly sailed into the port. And the sound came from the lion-headed ship. Goo la la la. Shiki. Long time no see, how was your harvest this time? Hearing this, Nugate also laughed and said, it's not much more than just destroying 3 world government member countries. Shiki didn't say much, but in fact he was quite proud. Although Nugate immediately destroyed 5 world government member countries, don't forget that Nugate had 3 admiral level or above strong men on board. And he is the only one with admiral level strength. Let's compare this. Shiki didn't think he would lose to Nugate at all. But when he thought of Nugate's bounty, Shiki suddenly felt a little discouraged. Shiki gave Nugate a resentful look and said sourly, Nugate, your bounty is really high, 5,050,000,000 Baileys. On this sea, except for the captain, no one can compare with you. Gula Lala. Hearing this, Nugate also laughed happily. You're not bad either, 3.040 billion Baileys. Is it the highest among our Rox pirates besides me and the captain who has 3.3? That is, after hearing Nugate's words, Shiki's mood suddenly improved a little. But don't be complacent, sooner or later I will definitely surpass you. Shiki said seriously. Yes yes yes. Hearing this, Nugate also nodded in disbelief. Although I don't know what Shiki's potential is, but he is definitely not weak. In his previous life, he sought answers to an original naval headquarters Marineford. Marine dispatched Sengoku and Garp. Only after half of Marineford was destroyed, Shiki was captured. So Nugate is not sure how far Shiki can reach in the future. The two then went to Rock's residence together to report on the operation. Chapter 56 Rock's pirate shocked the world. Kaido.
as the 17 fleets dispersed by Rock's pirate returned to Beehive Island one after another. It's all about the 69 world government countries that were destroyed by the Rock's pirates. It was like a tsunami sweeping across the entire world. For a time, the whole world was shocked by the crazy actions of Rock's pirate. The streets, alleys, and islands are discussing Rock's pirate. Every world government member country is also in danger, afraid that he will become the Rock's pirate's next target. It wasn't until Rock's pirate returned to Beehive Island one after another that they breathed a sigh of relief. But, out of fear that Rock's pirate will take action again. Each world government alliance country has marines or other world government troops to assist in defense. Originally, the world government does not want people to know that so many countries that have joined the world government have been destroyed. So at the beginning, all news was blocked like crazy. But, there is no airtight wall in this world, and eventually this matter was spread. This is a slap in the face of the world government. And it has seriously affected the dignity of the world government. After all, why do these countries join world government? Not only in order to obtain the protection of the world government, they also paid a high price of gold from heaven, 16. But now, in just 1 month, 69 countries that joined the world government were destroyed. This is not 1 or 2. A total of 69 countries that joined the world government were destroyed. Doesn't this mean that joining the world government is useless? Red line. 5 elders meeting room. Bump. The floor that was finally repaired was once again trampled to pieces by the bald 5 elders.
Do these newspapers really think we won't take action against them? The bald 5 elders looked at the newspaper in their hands and said angrily. Looking closely at the newspaper, it clearly said, 59 countries that joined the world government were destroyed. Is joining the world government really useful? The actions of the world government are vulnerable to Rock's pirate. Advertisement. Calm down. Now is not the time to care about these newspapers. 5 elders, an explosive head, threw the newspaper aside and said with his chin in one hand, now we should think of ways to restore the majesty of world government. After this action by Rock's pirate, we only have over 110 member countries left, and 30 of them have already applied to withdraw from the world government membership. Can't let them quit. Goatee 5 elders frowned and said, we have already lost 69 franchise countries. If we really let them withdraw, our financial revenue this year will be reduced by more than half. The other 5 elders nodded in agreement upon hearing this. By the way, have you collected all the gold in the sky this year? The bearded 5 elders suddenly asked. No. The bald 5 elders shook their heads after hearing this and said, because of the Rock's pirate, the gold in the sky has not been collected. And as the news of 69 countries being destroyed spreads, these participating countries are also waiting and watching. It seems that we have been protecting them for too long and have forgotten our methods. 5 elders said with cold eyes. The 2 leading franchising countries will be wiped out. No chickens or dogs will be left behind, and the egg yolks must be shaken evenly. Then the other franchising countries must hand over the heavenly gold next month. Afro 5 elders continued. That's right. Forget it if Rock's pirate dares to provoke us. When will it be the world government's turn to be threatened by cats and dogs? It's time to teach them what pain is. The bald 5 elders also nodded in agreement upon hearing this. Then the order from the 5 elders was issued. Under the orders of 5 elders, several warships also quickly sailed towards the target. 2 days later, a piece of news spread across the sea. 2 more world government affiliated countries were destroyed by unknown reasons, and this time they were even more ruthless.
That means killing all the chickens and dogs without leaving any trace behind. For a time, the other world government member countries were trembling. What unknown reason? This is obviously because the world government is dissatisfied with them as a member of the world government and wants to withdraw from the alliance. What he did was kill the chicken to scare the monkeys. I originally thought about wasting this year's heavenly gold, but now seeing this, everyone is obediently preparing for the heavenly gold. And back to Beehive Island. Since Nugate returned to Beehive Island, he immediately informed Rox of his harvest. Rox was also very excited and immediately moved away 30% of his harvest. Since there were still some squads that had not returned, Nugate had no choice but to find a place to live on Beehive Island and settled down. A few days passed in a flash.
The 17 fleets that were separated from Rock's pirate finally returned. Advertisement. It is worth mentioning that, in this operation, Rox himself destroyed 10 world government member countries, twice as many as Nugate. Shiki, Linlin, John, Ochaku, Silver Axe and other division captains all destroyed 3 world government member countries. As for the other division captains, more or less, each of them had only destroyed 1 to 2 participating countries. Since everyone was here, Rox gathered everyone together in order to reward his subordinates. It's still the same square where we first met. At this time, Nugate and the 17 division captains have gathered here, waiting for the arrival of Rox. John heard that the harvest was huge this time, so the captain is going to distribute some things to us today. Ochaku stretched his head and said in John's ear, I heard that there is also a species of phantom beast called devil fruit. What is the devil fruit? Only the treasure is the most fascinating. John shook his head when he heard this, and then said with a look of obsession. You. Ochaku also shook his head when he heard this. Chicken ha 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 ha. However, while everyone was chatting, suddenly an unusually bold laughter rang out. Rox, a hedgehog-headed man, walked up to the high platform very arrogantly. 437 However, when looking at Rox, Nugate's pupils shrank. Because he saw a familiar face behind Rox. A dark-skinned boy with 2 white sharp horns on his head, carrying a mace, was following Rox very arrogantly. Kaido. Nugate was also a little surprised when he saw Kaido. Because in his previous life Kaido should have joined Rock's pirate half a year later. I didn't expect to join so early now. Kaido at this time is quite annoying because he is only 18 years old. Maybe it's because newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. This guy looked at everyone with a look of disdain. Damn it. This guy deserves a beating. Shiki, who was sitting next to Nugate, looked at Kaido behind Rox and said with an unhappy expression. Nugate, why don't you teach him a lesson? Forget it. Why are you so angry with a little brat? Nugate shook his head when he heard this, no longer paying attention to Shiki, but listening to Rox speak. This is the world of pirates after all. So Rox didn't say much and quickly got into the process of distributing supplies. Seeing a large amount of treasure and devil fruit being pushed onto the stage, Niyugai's pupils shrank. Chapter 57 Phoenix Fruit. Kaido's Challenge, Chicken ha ha ha. Do you remember what I told you? Kaido stood on a high platform, with devil fruit and treasure piled up behind him. He opened his hands and said proudly. Treasure, fame, status, even strength. Follow me. I will let you get it. Because this operation was a complete success, so I decided to reward you well. As he spoke, Rox turned sideways, revealing the devil fruit and treasure behind him. There are a total of 50 devil fruit and 30 billion Baileys behind me. Come on. Come and take what you want, 1 devil fruit or 500 million Baileys. Hearing this, the pirates below suddenly showed greedy eyes. Even the captain and others couldn't help but look excited. Although they all gained a lot during this operation. But there are 50 devil fruits on the stage at this time. If you choose a top-notch devil fruit, it will be worth more than 5 billion Baileys. Even Nugate's breathing couldn't help but become rapid. Because he had seen the devil fruit, Phoenix fruit. Sure enough, there is that fruit. Looking at the Phoenix fruit placed on the top of the treasure pile, Nugate thought excitedly. Now, Marco's devil fruit is finally found. I just don't know how the Phoenix fruit can increase his potential. To what extent? Chicken ha ha ha. Seeing the greedy expressions on the pirates below, Rox couldn't help but feel happy. Although Rox is a guy who is famous all over the world for his terrifying strength. But he is definitely not a simple-minded guy with well-developed limbs. He knew very well that all of his subordinates were originally ambitious captains. I just joined Rox pirate not long ago, so there is no such thing as loyalty. So, if you want to make them do things and obey orders, you can only use their greed to make them obediently use it for yourself. So, Rox will arrange to reward these pirates as soon as possible after completing this operation. Nugate, come up and choose first, it's your prerogative. Rox said to Nugate with a smile. After hearing this, Nugate did not shirk, and walked straight towards the Phoenix fruit, holding it in his hand. Phoenix fruit. Nugate has good vision, Rox said meaningfully. Phoenix fruit? That's a phantom beast worth 5 billion Baileys. You are so lucky, Mr. Nugate. Hearing Rox's voice, the surrounding pirates all screamed in surprise. Everyone looked at devil fruit on the stage and became even more greedy. It's as if you can also choose a top-notch devil fruit. After Nugate finished picking, Shiki and other captains also stepped forward to pick the fruit they wanted, or 500 million belly. Advertisement. But when Charlotte Linlin stepped forward to choose, Nugate also took a second look. Really, Linlin still chose the same as in his previous life: zone fruit, fish fruit, phantom beast species, blue dragon form. This devil fruit will also be given to Kaido by Linlin in the future. All the pirate captains picked out what they wanted. There are some remaining Baileys. In the end, Rox also awarded them all to some people who performed well. Chicken, ha ha ha. The treasure, status, and reputation you want, I believe I will make sure you get what you want. Rox said arrogantly after everyone got what they wanted. Long live Lord Rox. Lord Rox, Rox. Rox. WWW. The pirate who got what he wanted immediately shouted Rox's name crazily. Chicken, ha ha ha. Hearing this, Rox also laughed crazily. After a while, everyone calmed down. Then Rox pushed Kaido out and said, I met this little guy on the road. He is a guy with great potential. He will be an intern on our ship from now on. 11. He's a nice little guy. When Charlotte Linlin saw Kaido, she immediately looked at Kaido with admiration for some unknown reason. To be honest, Kaido was attracted by Rox because Kaido does have good talent. At only 18 years old, he has admiral-level strength, although it has not yet grown to the point where it will be the 4 Emperors Kaido in the future. But, at this point, we can already see a little bit of the future 4 Emperors. Everyone looked at Kaido's figure and admired him a little. But this time, Kaido actually did something that shocked everyone. I saw him quickly arriving in front of Nugate, his eyes fixed on Nugate. It looks like there will be some good shows to watch. Sure enough, if there is a place like Nugate, there will definitely be good shows. Shiki next to him also became very interested after seeing Kaido's movements. The other people around also looked like they were watching a show. But they don't think Kaido can really defeat Nugate. Although this kid already possesses admiral-level strength, his future potential may be even higher. But, advertisement after all, he is just a little guy who has not grown up. To know, Nugate is the vice captain of Rox Pirate, and his strength has already reached the martial level. And, don't forget Shiki, who challenged Nugate last time. Tisk 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 tisk. Now that I think about it, my anus is probably still aching. Shiki. Are you polite? The captain said you are very strong, and if I defeat you, you can be our vice captain, Kaido said in a deep voice, staring at Nugate. Oh, fight, fight. When the surrounding pirates saw this scene, they all thought it was not a big deal and started making noises one after another. Especially Shiki, who was the most excited to shout. Nugate looked at Shiki's commotion and wondered if he should find time to discuss life with Shiki again. Let him know what it means. Life is like a ruthless carving knife. Chicken, ha ha ha. Rox couldn't help laughing when he saw this scene. Although he was quite optimistic about Kaido, he didn't expect this guy to be so stubborn. He actually challenged Nugate directly. Boy, do you really want to challenge me? Do you know that you will die? Nugate changed from his usual careless demeanor. His face suddenly became serious. Whitebeard, accept my challenge. Kaido was not afraid at all when he heard this, but his eyes became firmer. When Rox on the stage saw Kaido like this, he immediately smiled and nodded. He will also accept Kaido as an intern, firstly because Kaido is strong enough, and secondly because Rox sees his youthful self in Kaido. Goo la la la. But you don't seem to have the qualifications to challenge me. Defeat my daughter first and then challenge me. Seeing Kaido showing no fear at all, Nugate burst into laughter. He just said with a gloomy look that he would die if he challenged him. Actually, it's to scare Kaido. After all, the two are now part of the same pirate group, so no one can be killed. Okay. Kaido nodded unequivocally when he heard this, and said, no matter who it is, I will definitely defeat him. Come forward. Goo la la la. Not bad momentum, Nugate said with a smile. Artoria, Please help Dad teach him a lesson. As Nugate's voice fell, a girl wearing silver blue armor suddenly came to Kaido. Edward Artoria. If you want to challenge Dad, defeat me first. Artoria announced her name, and then an admiral-level aura instantly emanated from her body. Chapter 58 Artoria vs Kaido. Another admiral level. The pupils of the surrounding pirates suddenly shrank. After just 2 months of absence, Whitebeard Edward Nugate gave them another big surprise. If Rocks hadn't founded Rocks Pirate, and Whitebeard also added Rocks Pirate's words. It has a martial level in Nugate, plus 4 admiral levels, Tsunade, Sakura, Shitomi, and now Artoria, who appears for the first time. Who can resist such a terrifying pirate group? Even though Rocks was a man with terrifying strength, his pupils shrank when he saw Artoria burst out with strength. The look he looked at Nugate also became complicated. Although there are a large number of admiral-level powerhouses in Rocks Pirate. But, how many of them are really loyal to him? There should be no one at all. All the pirates present have ulterior motives. If they could not see the benefits in themselves, they would have left themselves long ago. So that's why Rocks brought Kaido on board. After all, Kaido is powerful and has unfathomable potential, plus he is still young. So there are absolutely people who cultivated Kaido into his own person. And after so many years, Rocks has only met Kaido, who has good potential. But, looking back at Whitebeard Nugate, he has so many children with terrifying potential. And after observing Rocks with his vicious eyes, he discovered to his horror. It seems that none of the Nugate children are simple. Especially those boys. Although he looks young, but it is obvious that he has shown talents that are different from those of his peers. If things don't work out, these kids also have admiral-level potential. Hiss. After thinking about this, Lux also took a breath of cold air. You must know that although he has many admiral levels in his hands. But if Nugate is given time to develop, it seems that Nugate will have at least 8 children above the admiral level in the future. This is terrible. If Rocks had 8 admiral-level subordinates who were loyal to him, he believed that he would wake up laughing even in his sleep. Kaido. Remember this name, he is the one who defeats you. Kaido immediately reported his name after hearing this. If you have the ability, give it a try. After saying that, Artoria immediately pulled out the Sword of Victory from the distant Utopia. The Wind King's barrier was also activated instantly, entangling the Sword of Victory in his hand, and the Sword of Victory also entered a state of invisibility. Transparent weapon? What kind of weapon is that? Kaido asked with some confusion as he looked at the sword that turned transparent as soon as it was pulled out from Artoria's hand. Advertisement? Who knows? Arturia immediately put on various poses and said, maybe it's a sword, maybe it's a gun. I'm wondering if it's a bow and arrow. At the end of the sentence, he even made a gesture of drawing a bow. Do you think I'm a fool? Kaido looked at Artoria's appearance and immediately yelled angrily. You held the sword in front of me. Everyone knows it is a sword. Really? Artoria continued to draw the bow and said, who stipulates that swords cannot be transformed into other weapons? Hearing this, Kaido was also startled. Indeed, Artoria was right. Who could stipulate that a sword cannot be transformed into other weapons? Having said that all current weapons can become transparent, it doesn't seem strange to turn them into other weapons. Suddenly Kaido looked in Artoria's direction and became suspicious. In this case, we can't passively attack. Otherwise, the opponent's weapons will not be able to defend at all. Kaido thought to himself, and then quickly rushed towards Artoria. As long as I take the initiative, what weapons are really powerful? As Kaido said that, he quickly hit Artoria on the head with the mace in his hand. Bump! Arturia quickly faced him with the Sword of Victory in her hand. Suddenly the sword and the mace collided with each other, making a violent sound. What? But the moment they made contact, Kaido's expression turned extremely ugly. Because the other person obviously looks about 15 years old. But the opponent's power was so terrifying that I couldn't resist it. Kaido couldn't believe it for a moment. After all, first of all, he is older than Artoria, and he is also a man. The most important thing is that he still has terrifying physical fitness to possess admiral-level strength at such a young age. But, now in the test of strength, he actually fell into a disadvantage, and the other party turned out to be just a little girl. After a brief collision, the two separated again. Thunder 8 trigrams. Crackling. Suddenly, a terrifying black-red thunder and lightning burst out from Kaido's wolf. BGBF, Toothstick. It's Conqueror's Haki. I didn't expect Kaido to have learned this trick at such a young age. Conqueror's Haki Entanglement. Seeing the black and red lightning on Kaido's mace, Artoria's pupils also shrank. Because she knew the horror of this move. The same is true for Admiral level. There is a world of difference in strength between those who know Conqueror's Haki and those who don't. Wind King Hammer. Without any hesitation, Artoria directly released the Wind King barrier on the sword without giving Kaido a chance to attack. Suddenly, a terrifying tornado quickly attacked Kaido's stomach. Well done. Thunder 8 trigrams. Advertisement. Kaido roared angrily, and the mace flashed with terrifying thunder and lightning, and actually knocked away the Wind King's hammer. And Kaido's momentum has not diminished at all. The whole person stomped the ground, then he quickly rushed towards Artoria. It looks like that Nugate guy's child won't be haunted by Conqueror's Haki? When the people around saw this scene, they understood instantly. Although in terms of momentum, Artoria already has the peak strength of Admiral. But she doesn't know how to use Conqueror's Haki. This is very fatal, especially in battles of the same level. Will it or not, Conqueror's Haki is simply a world of difference. You're going to lose. This little girl. Charlotte Linlin looked at Artoria in the center of the field and suddenly felt a little pity. After all, in this sea, there are too few girls with Admiral level strength. As for the girl with the eyes, she obviously has great talent and potential, but unfortunately she is too young and has not yet learned Conqueror's Haki. Pity. Even Rox on the stage shook his head with regret. But Nugate was not worried at all, because he knew that Artoria was not that simple. Back in the fight, Artoria looked at Kaido, who was quickly struck by sparks and lightning. Without any hesitation, he directly raised the sword of victory and faced him. Bump. Boom. Suddenly two violent sounds sounded. One was the sound of swords colliding, and the other was the sound of people being knocked away and hitting the ground. That's right, Artoria was directly knocked away in that moment. Although Kaido's Thunder 8 trigrams has been weakened by Wind King Railroad. But, still, it was a pity that Arturia, who had not mastered Conqueror's Haki, was blocked. The smoke disperses. Arturia slowly climbed up from the ground holding the sword of victory. At this time, her body was filled with countless scars. These were burned by the lightning of the thundering 8 trigrams. It seems that we have been defeated. When the people around him saw this scene, they immediately shook their heads in regret. However, just when everyone thought that Artoria would definitely lose, something shocking happened. Chapter 59 Arturia explodes. In the horrified eyes of everyone, Artoria's injuries were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Just a moment later, the original injuries on her body had disappeared without a trace. What is this? Amazing resilience. The surrounding pirates couldn't help but exclaimed when they saw this scene. What a strong recovery ability. When Kaido saw this scene, he immediately looked at Artoria with envy. It hurts so much. Artoria twisted her neck and found that the injuries on her body had almost recovered. Then she said seriously, "It seems like we need to be more serious. I apologize to you for slighting you just now, and I will use all my strength next." Artoria immediately apologized to Kaido for slighting him. He is worthy of being the king of knights. When people around him saw this scene, they were also infected by Artoria unconsciously. Magic released. Artoria shouted softly, and a blue magic power immediately emerged and enveloped Artoria. Finally, a pair of huge dragon wings formed behind Artoria. The momentum on his body also increased rapidly at this moment. The system is checking Artoria's attributes, Nugate suddenly said secretly in his heart. Name: Edward Artoria. Age: 15 years old. Potential: SS level, magic release state. Strength: SS level, magic release state. Speed: SS level, magic release state. Energy: SS level, magic release state. Body level: SS, magic release state. Combat skills: top swordsmanship,
Riding, intuitive magic and release of leadership. Weapon. The Sword of Promise of Victory. Ability. Heart of the Red Dragon. Evaluation. Silly hair is the real body, a very edible silly hair. The strength of Artoria in the state of releasing magic power has broken through to the martial level, and Kaido has no chance. Nugate looked at Artoria's attribute panel, and Shi secretly felt. Have you become stronger? But I will definitely win in the end. Kaido immediately raised his mace again and quickly hit Artoria on the head. Thunder 8 trigrams, what you wish for. As Artoria spoke, she quickly rushed forward with the Sword of Victory in her hand. Bump. The two collided hard again, but the one with the ugly face here turned into Kaido. People who can rap Conqueror's Haki will fight against people who can't rap Conqueror's Haki. If they are at the same level, those who can rap Conqueror's Haki will have an absolute advantage. Advertisement. But now Artoria has broken through to the martial level, although she is just entering the martial level for the first time. But that is also martial level. Even if Kaido used Thunder 8 trigrams with all his strength, he was unable to hurt Artoria at all. Crackling. The black and red lightning that burst out from Kaido's mace was all blocked by the magic power emitted from Artoria's body. It seems like your trick is no longer useful to me. Artoria originally wanted to see if she could defend herself against these lightnings when her magic power was released. After seeing that this trick had no effect on him at all. Immediately, with a strong force on his hand, Kaido was directly knocked away by Artoria, and he hit the ground like a wolf. Boom. Martial level. As Artoria exerted her full strength, a momentum of martial yuan's level suddenly burst out. The people around him had a smile on their face just because there was a lot of excitement to watch. But, the moment he felt the aura of Artoria, his smile suddenly froze. One door and two martials. Suddenly, the pirates around him looked at Nugate no longer with caution, but with fear. I also secretly made up my mind that I will never be the enemy of the Whitebeard pirates in the future. Otherwise, it will definitely be an ugly death. After all, a normal pirate group with 1 or 2 admirals is already very scary. And now, Nugate's Whitebeard pirates actually have 2 martial level and 3 admiral level pirates. Edward Nugate. Rox also looked at Nugate in shock and muttered to himself. With Nugate joining, maybe my plan can really succeed. Rox smiled evilly, and the ambition in his eyes flashed past. Ah! After the smoke cleared, Kaido struggled to stand up, somewhat out of breath. But, Kaido is indeed the strongest creature in the future world. Although he did not eat the devil fruit in the form of a blue dragon. But, at this time, he has already shown physical strength that is different from ordinary people. Although Artoria's sword just didn't hit Kaido directly. But the terrifying force caused Kaido to hit the ground at such a fast speed. Kaido was not seriously injured, just a trace of blood on the corner of his mouth. You are very strong, but I will use my strongest move against you next, be careful not to die. Arturia looked at Kaido, who was not seriously injured, and immediately admired him. Because she could also feel that her strength had surpassed him, and she didn't hold back on the move just now. Please give me flowers, advertisement. But, despite his violent blow, he was not seriously injured. It can be seen that Kaido does have some abilities. Bring it on. Kaido looked at Artoria with sharp eyes, and all the muscles in his body tensed up in preparation. Although the move just now didn't seem to cause much damage. But, only Kaido knew in his heart that the move just now was definitely not as easy as imagined. It's just that Kaido gritted his teeth and held on. So Kaido knew very well that he had no chance of winning. But, the pride in his heart did not allow him to admit defeat. In his dictionary, there was only defeat. Very good. Looking at Kaido's appearance, Artoria nodded in admiration. Then he raised the Sword of Victory high. Suddenly, a terrifying magic power quickly surged from Artoria to the Sword of Victory. With the influx of magic power, a large amount of magic power was converted into light energy by the Sword of Vowed Victory. Countless light energy is condensed in the Sword of Victory. Even the Sword of Victory in Artoria's hand began to glow with a terrifying white light. Finally the light condenses to ultimate. Excalibur. Artoria roared angrily, and struck the Sword of Victory in her hand from top to bottom in the direction of Kaido. Suddenly, A beam of light, like a laser cannon, burst out from the end of the Sword of Victory. Fiercely bombarded Kaido. Thunder 8 trigrams. Kaido went crazy and ran into the light beam. Boom. When the two collided together, a big explosion like a nuclear bomb exploded instantly. A violent white light suddenly appeared, causing everyone present to close their eyes unconsciously. After the white light dissipated, Kaido's body was completely burned. And there was a huge wound on his body, with blood flowing rapidly. Kaido's breathing also became weak, as if he might die at any time. Tsunade. Nugate shouted. Yes, Tsunade responded, and then quickly came to Kaido's side to heal him. Arturia, on the other hand, also put away the Sword of Victory, and immediately returned to Nugate, quietly recovering her magic power. After all, the move just now consumed almost all her magic power. Artoria wins. Chapter 60 Rock's crazy plan. After this little episode, no one cared much. After all, this operation made so much money, so soon a grand banquet started in the square, and just when everyone has been drinking for 3 rounds and is enjoying themselves. Rocks stands on the high platform again. Chicken ha 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 ha. We Rocks pirate made a lot of treasure during this operation. Devil fruit, are you happy? Rocks stood on the stage holding a bottle of wine and said excitedly. Happy. The surrounding pirates responded immediately. Although I don't know what kind of ambition Rocks has, but have to say, indeed he gave everyone what they wanted. Almost everyone has made a lot of money, and the bounty of every respectable person has increased a lot. So no matter what the reason is, the prestige of Rocks is still very high at this time. Are you satisfied? Satisfy? Chicken ha 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 ha, Shi-san-san? Very good. Rocks looked at the pirates below who responded frantically to him, and immediately nodded secretly. Immediately, the whole person's momentum suddenly changed, and he said with a greedy face, Then are you satisfied? Rocks suddenly released a terrifying momentum, which immediately made all the pirates tremble. They looked at Rocks with confusion on their faces, wondering what he wanted to do. Not satisfied, at this time. I don't know if it was the trustee arranged by Rocks, but he suddenly stood up and said greedily, I want to follow Captain Rocks to make more money and make my name famous in the sea. Right. We want to be famous across the sea. We want to make more money. Hearing this, the pirates around him also echoed. Very good. I knew you couldn't be satisfied with just such a small gain. So I have a plan. Rocks did not finish his words but showed a crazy smile, his sharp eyes scanning all the pirates below. Plan? Captain, please tell me, I cannot wait anymore. When the pirates around him saw that Rocks hadn't finished speaking, they suddenly became a little anxious. Plan? Advertisement Nugate was also startled when he heard this. Because this is something that didn't happen in the previous life, that is, the next thing may be a little out of Nugate's control. What does he want to do? Nugate looked in the direction of Rocks and suddenly felt that even though he had lived in 2 lifetimes, he still couldn't see through the captain. Gouda. Assault to seize the heavenly gold. Rocks took a sip of wine and immediately dropped a bombshell. Seize the heavenly gold. The people around were stunned when they heard this. After all, they had just attacked the world government member countries, and now they were going to seize the heavenly gold. Seize the heavenly gold. Nugate was also startled when he heard this. He didn't expect Rocks to be so courageous. And at the same time, I also feel that the feasibility of this plan is indeed very high. This plan was not proposed in the previous life probably because the Rocks pirate destroyed not many world government member countries. As a result, the world government did not pay too much attention to it. But now it's different, because Rocks pirate has wiped out 69 world government member countries in 1 month. This has caused serious losses to the world government. It also completely attracted the attention of the world government. So, now world government has arranged admiral-level powerhouses, or multiple vice-admirals, in each region of world government's participating countries. So, this means that there will be no extra manpower to escort Tianjin. But, because the world government spread admiral out. Therefore, when seizing the heavenly gold, if the battle is not resolved quickly, nearby Admiral-class support may arrive within a few hours. Chicken ha ha ha. We have obviously scared the world government this time, so they used all the admiral levels to protect the world government-affiliated countries, so there are no powerful guys who can protect Tianshangjin. So this is our chance. This time we will break up all the fleets, and all the captains above the vice admiral level will lead their own teams to seize the heavenly gold. Rox said crazily. DF. When the pirates around heard this plan, they immediately took a breath. If this plan is really successful, then the world government will really be bleeding this time. To know. There are 105 captains in Rox pirate with vice admiral level or above. If it really succeeds, it can be said that the Rox pirate has cut off almost all the financial income of the world government. I have a question. But someone immediately realized this problem, so someone immediately asked it. Advertisement. What if when we attack Tianshangjin, the surrounding admiral classes come to support us? Good question. Rox smiled slightly when he heard this, and then showed a crazy smile. Then what if I attack naval headquarters and impel down first? Hiss. Crazy. It's so crazy. But it is indeed very feasible. If Rox attacks naval headquarters, the world government will definitely let admirals support. And because of Rox's terrifying strength, it's very likely that the world government will send all the admirals back to support him. After all, 2 or 3 admirals or even marshal level can't stop Rox at all. Plus, Marine's development to this point is what world government has accumulated over the years. It is simply not comparable to a year's worth of heavenly gold. Therefore, the world government will definitely find ways to support naval headquarters. But, if Rox really rushes to the naval headquarters alone, and in order to buy time for everyone, he will definitely need to fight against the large number of admiral classes. Even if Rox faces so many admirals, he will fall, right? But Captain, even if you face so many admirals alone. The pirate didn't continue talking, but Rox immediately understood what he meant. So I need someone to go with me this time, Rox said and looked at Nugate. Nugate looked at Rox who was looking at him, and suddenly felt helpless. When Rox said he was going to attack naval headquarters, he knew he would never be able to escape. Nugate, ask your pirate group to follow me to the naval headquarters. After the success of this plan, I will give you 10 billion Baileys and a devil fruit. Rox said with a smile. Devil fruit. This. Hearing this, Nugate also fell into deep thought. After all, the rewards were so huge, but at the same time, the risks were also high. Good. Eventually Nugate said yes to Rox, but that's it. Nugate is not stupid. He has already decided on 4.4. If the situation is not good, he will definitely run away with his people. It is impossible to control whether the plan can succeed or not. After all, joining Rox pirate was all about the phoenix fruit. Now not only have I obtained the phoenix fruit, but I have also made more than 20 billion belly, so I can quit at any time. After getting Nugate's consent, Rox also excitedly announced that the plan would officially start taking action. All the pirates on Beehive Island are actively preparing for war like hungry wolves. Until one day, Rox answered a phone call. All the pirates on the Beehive Island came out in full force under Rox's order. Suddenly a terrifying storm is about to sweep across the entire world.